Hailing frequencies are open. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Clear Skies, our Star Trek Adventures live play with the Stream Punks. Tonight's a very big episode, so we're going to try to keep the announcements somewhat short so we can jump right into everything that's going on. Sam's laughing because that's very unlikely because it's us, and that's an appropriate reaction to have. So let's go ahead and start with some of the bigger announcements. I'll go ahead and get some of the Stream Punk stuff out of the way. A lot of you folks have been asking about the original logo and if we can get that up on the store. The answer is yes, that's coming. It was supposed to have happened already. There's been some setbacks, so I apologize for that. You can look forward to that this week, I promise. The original logo will be going up on the store. It's the cool, like, spray painted logo. Who, fun fact, just like with the Calisto 6 logo, Taliesin Jaffe gave us some inspiration and helped us come up with it. So thank you. And Thomas Maroney, our brilliant Thomas Maroney, was the gentleman who actually crafted that logo and came up with the final version in all of his brilliance. So we'll be looking forward to sharing that with y'all. The other big news, Starjam is the next short-run campaign that we're going to be playing here on the Stream Punks. It will begin on November 1st, which is a Monday. So not this coming month, but the month after. So Monday, November 1st, will be our first game of Starjam. It'll be airing here on QueueTimes in the same time slots as Clear Skies has been airing. I'm very pleased to announce that we have a lot of returning faces. We've got Sam DeLev is coming back to play Celestine, the Crystal Hatchling Dragon, aka Murder Kitten of the party. And then we have, of course, Bonnie, who I think Bonnie is playing.
I'm pretty sure I'll be back as my gnome thief.
Yeah. Gnome thief.
You're Jenny.
Yeah. Then we have Gina. Is it DeVivo? Is it DeVivo? I always get this.
Vivo.
Gina DeVivo. We'll have Gina joining us for some D&D in space. We also, of course, have one Aki, who is going to be joining us again for another round as probably, I'm guessing, going to be our Helms person again, who basically took control and got everybody from A to B in the last game.
Look at me. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
It was only a matter of time.
I got demoted so fast.
I'm also very excited to announce that Adriana from the Gax Pack will be joining us for this short run adventure. So it'll be rad to have Adriana come play with us. It'll be her first time gaming with the Stream Punks, and we're really excited to have her. So that'll be happening on the 20th. Oh, sorry. No. I'm getting all my dates scrambled. 20th was originally going to be the end date for Clear Skies. It is not anymore, obviously. It'll be happening on the 1st. The 1st of November, you will be able to start watching Starjam, the Spelljammer campaign. Good God, we are in for it. If this is going to be me tonight, we are in for it. All right, those are the only announcements I had. Did anybody else have any announcements we wanted to jump into? Yeah. Go ahead, Bards.
Oh, did we do it?
Whoever wants to go first? Fight to the death.
Bonnie, you first.
Okay.
Well, I'm just, because I was sitting on my announcement for so long, I'm just going to announce it again. October 28th, y'all should all go to Paramount Plus and stream Star Trek Prodigy. It's going to be wonderful and fabulous, and you might hear my voice. So do that.
Bonnie was like, I don't need Clear Skies. I've got real Star Trek now.
No, that's not true. It's all in my soul. I almost said whole. That would have been bad. It's all in my soul.
It's all in my soul. What did you have?
No holes in my ship.
First off, Sam and I from this channel, QueueTimes, will be featured with some other artists as well as some other GMs for Rumble in Republic City, the Avatar RPG. We're doing a 4-shot of it, and it's going to be great. It's 6 p.m. this Saturday. And then the other thing I wanted to mention besides my regular schedule on Twitter is that I'm now starting to play Wraith, the video game, in VR on my personal channel. I started it today, and it was so much fun. I screamed a lot, but definitely check it out because I'm just having a great time.
Y'all should all watch, because now, you know how on his channel previously I would jump in and scare him every now and then? Now he can't even see
or hear
me. And so now I really get to up my game.
No.
So everyone tune in to Xander's channel.
In October, I'm starting Alien Isolation.
Ooh,
oh boy. Yeah, I miss the days of like, remember when they did the movie watch-alongs at GNS and we would just creep in behind Erika Ishii while she was like watching a movie and scare the living hell out of her. God, that was great. Okay, do we have any other announcements we want to do before we jump into tonight's very big game? No? Nothing else? Okay. Yes, Sam?
I'm excited.
Yes. Let's see if we can fix that. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's episode of Clear Skies. And that is when you all become Q.
I'm in.
Finally.
I'm actually
Well
okay
done.
with
Go.
this. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
I
Well
already
done. Good
had the
game,
idea
everybody.
given
Now,
this power,
so
we
we can
can
run with it.
I'm
time.
good with that. I mean, I thought I was already Q, but yes.
There's
I
an
know.
actual
gonna
Q
mess with the
watching.
holodeck settings. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
Ah, yes, we have arrived
There's
at
an
the
actual Q
QueueTimes.
watching, and I'm sure he is confused.
And all I want to do
I
is
caught the
make
Q
people
times
do-
joke. Very nice.
Yeah,
Mhm,
and all I want to do is make people do Robin Hood over and over again.
Yeah.
Now that we've effectively tried to diffuse the tension at the top of the episode, let's go ahead and leap into tonight's episode of Clear Skies. We begin tonight with the USS Ross, currently at Station's Keeping, docked with a small transport ship, a generic freighter that looks like it's probably 200 years past use. And judging from the damage that the hull has received, barely intact. You've spent the past hour and a half quickly and desperately trying to get these refugees, these Kazenti refugees, off of the ship and onto the USS Ross. Triage areas have been set up in Shuttle Bay 2, and people have been emergency beamed to the sick bay. All total, there's about 84 refugees, including children, that have been beamed off of that ship from across the spectrum. But most of them, a large bulk of them, look like Bonnie. They are all, well, not the same height, but we would say a large part of them are of the female persuasion. Looks like a lot of these people that have been beamed over here were fleeing some kind of persecution. You haven't been able to get a lot of detail from them since you got over here. We're going to start off in sick bay, which currently main sick bay and the other two sick bay stations are currently flooded with these refugees. And a triage center, as I said, for the less priority injured has been set up in Shuttle Bay 2. Right now, McCrell, by your side, helping you and using their not only their remarkable bedside manner, but also their nursing abilities, is Counselor Cedric, or Cedric.
Cedric, you have to say it right, Eric.
Cedric.
Counselor Cedric.
A Cation that has taken up a lot of responsibility and has really answered the call in this time of need. Specifically requested if he could be here to help you with all of the Kazenti that are now currently injured and are being escorted on. He's entered your office as you're going through some of the medical scans that have just come across. Of course, scanning everybody and making sure that people are quarantined where they need to be, and the right people are receiving the medical treatment. He steps into your office with a stack of data pads and inserts them into your main computer, and all of the data immediately transfers over as he swipes a few of the other ones onto your computer database. And as he's doing that, you hear him say, "All right, so I've managed to finish most of the scans that you had sent me. A few of the patients were a little reluctant. It seems like there's some mistrust towards the Federation, but they're all quite grateful to have been rescued, so I have a feeling this is only a matter of time before they realize that, well, we're not all here to do to them what they were running from. I get the impression some of them are having difficulty trusting me specifically."
I wouldn't take it personal, counselor.
No,
it
of
seems
course not.
the majority of these refugees are Kizinreti, of the female of the Kizinti race. And they're not very trustworthy of the males.
I am male presenting, so that would make sense.
Yes.
What do we know about our cousins? If I can be honest with you, we don't learn that much about them.
Yes, well, they do tend to keep to themselves. Just know that trust will come in time, just as I was raised outside of the Kizinti race and learned to trust others as well.
Yes, that's right.
I believe change is coming. The Kizinreti, they are ready for some kind of rebellion. And I feel with the Federation's help, they can have sanctuary here and learn and grow.
Oh, that reminds me, Doctor. This is the captain's authorization for them to claim asylum here on the USS Ross. They approved it immediately.
Wonderful. It might be difficult to communicate with the children if they've only heard the Kizinti, they call their language the hero's tongue, which I think is very redundant and silly. But if the translator does not quite translate, it might be difficult to communicate. So I would suggest just using simple body language and...
Simple body language.
Yes. I know as a counselor, this is your expertise in communication, especially in communicating in a resourceful way.
Well, my Pippa was a pediatrician, so I'm sure this will be quite familiar territory for me.
I'm going to grab a pad really quick and write down some few like simple phrases and words in hero's tongue, which is the Kazin language.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like a bunch of like dots and commas and like it barely makes sense. Like it almost looks like something just scratched and dotted on it.
Okay.
But it'll have translations as well. And I'm going to hand it to him so I can be like, it is a strange written language, but I'm sure you'll be able to understand. If you're having trouble communicating with some of the younger ones, you can point to these phrases and have them understand that you mean to help.
This is very useful. Thank you, Doctor. It's actually quite lovely. And he begins to study it as he walks out. Up on the bridge, the results of your scan, Lacat, come back conclusive. As you just finish up the scan of the hull of the Kazenti's freighter, the captain having you scanned it to see what it was that damaged it. You have the information you need.
Captain, we've retrieved the scans from the hull of the freighter.
Oh, what have you got for me?
Well, last pattern suggests Type 3 disruptor, and the energy reading suggests we're dealing with Romulans or people who like using Romulan weapons or people who like pretending to be Romulans. really any of the above. But
Is this blast pattern consistent with the armament on, say, a Derridex? I look both to Kat and to Prawl.
Prawl analyzes the data that's coming through from the science station, and he says it does have a remarkable amount of similarities. But the output of a Derridex is very difficult to tell between some of their smaller scouts. They're quite good at hiding. Either way, I agree with Lacat. This looks like a Romulan disruptor weapon of some kind.
Does it look like a hit and run? Why?
yeah, actually, can I roll to see if it is if it looks like they were trying to shoot them out of the sky?
The mystery unfolds. So indeed, if you would be so kind as to make a check for me. This is going to be a reason science check, and it will be assisted by the Ross's computers plus sensors plus
Mystery
engineering.
Oh yeah. Fair.
Sensors engineering.
That's 2 successes on my end.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the difficulty is only 1, so.
Perfect.
Who wants to roll for the Ross?
A success.
Yay! Okay.
Yay.
So mark down that momentum. Momentum is going to be super important this game. So you do a quick scan on the patterns. What's that?
We're starting at 1.
However much you just generated from that roll.
2 net successes.
2.
It was a difficulty 1, and there was 2 successes from Brave, 1 from Ross.
Ravity, Lacat sees the blast patterns. They look like surgical strikes. They don't look like they specifically looked like they were not, from what you can see, they did not target any specific system. In fact, everything that was hit on the ship looked like it avoided any major systems.
The shots didn't do any real damage. It's almost as if they were warning shots, but they were definitely aiming for the ship.
Prawl is going to make a roll here.
Yeah.
See if he can.
Oh no!
No, that's Vren.
I got a lot of little kittens down here.
See reason. I'm going to say reason security. No, I'm going to say insight security. Okay, here we go.
Also, I couldn't think of it at the time, but Council Sidiric's Pippa was a pedia kitten.
Anyway, goodbye.
I was looking for it. Thank you. I'm glad you found
Prawl's
it.
insight is 9. His security is 5. I rolled a 14 and a 13. That's 2 successes.
Yes. What is it?
Prawl says, so gain that momentum. Gain 1 momentum. Prawl, you see Prawl's brow furrow for a second. He said, they didn't want to destroy them. If it was a Romulan vessel, a single shot could have done the trick. If they hit them multiple times, they didn't want to destroy them, but they wanted to make a show.
To what end?
Do you want to spend a point of momentum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind taking that spend since I have Studious and we could get a 2 for 1.
Yeah. Okay. You were called out here very much not wanting to go immediately because you were prioritizing needing to go somewhere else. But you were the only ship that could get out here fast enough.
So they were trying to get our attention.
Right, but there are 2 possibilities from that. Because in order to delay us, some ship would likewise not have to be making a crow flies trip to the destination unless, I think this gets to the second part of the question, they would delegate out based on our knowledge of ship movements, of force intel, of what Prawl has reported. Does this seem like the Derridex did its own dirty work in order to draw us out of the way? Or did they call in a scout ship, hey, put in some hits that would necessitate a distress call while we make a direct beeline for the fountain, which is consistent with sort of the forensic reconstruction that Lacat and Prawl have given us. I mean, or option C.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I can roll for here. Yeah, is there any way I can...
questionnaire?
Sorry, what was that?
That was actually directed as our second question for Studious.
Oh, what is the second question?
That this seemed like either the Dideridex blasted holes in this ship to cause a distress call and draw us out of the way, but they would have also had to have gone out of the way for it, or they called in someone else to put in a hit and draw us out of the way.
Saul's tactical mind as a captain has now confirmed that there is at least 2 Romulan vessels in action right now. You know there's a Dideridex, you have no idea what the second one is. But they would have had to have used a second vessel in order to achieve this and to draw the USS Ross away from Narendra Station so that they could do whatever it is that they're doing over by the particle fountain or somewhere else, you're not sure. But whatever it was, this was designed to draw the USS Ross away.
All right. So for, I guess, Lacat and Vren, we have the particle decay. That would give us a timeline of exactly when this happened, as well as all of the logs on the Kzinti ship. And Vren has a catalog inside of his head of all of the specs.
Yeah.
For all of the ships.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
yes, I do.
Based on when it happened, and based on the maximum warp of various ships, how soon could those various ships get to the particle fountain?
Okay. So Vren is going to make this roll, and Lacat, you can assist.
Great.
I'm giving him a word problem.
I would say taking the information that you've got at hand and pulling a Starfleet and breaking it down. Lacat, I'm going to have you roll Reason Science, and Vren is going to roll Insight Command, and I'm going to give. Roll? He is going to. What's that?
Does the Ross roll?
Yes, because the Ross would definitely be assisting here to calculate this down. So the Ross is going to roll computers and command.
We need that
momentum. Can I use my sensors focus?
Yes, you can use your sensors focus. Absolutely.
It's like if you have 7 oranges and Bob has 12.
Vren rolls a 9 and a 3, so one of those is going to crit. So Vren's going to get a total of 3 successes for a difficulty of 3. So you're already going to succeed on this. Whatever net successes you're going to contribute now to your momentum pool. So we got 1 from Ross, and so gain 3 momentum. As Vren types this into the computer, playing along like a partner at the piano, Lacat sits there and watches Vren's inputs and starts pulling up information. Vren swipes across and brings up a holographic display in front of him and just quickly swipes across it and then kind of throws it up onto the main screen, swivels in his chair as it appears, and he goes, Captain, in order to reach anywhere into the Shackleton Expanse, it would have to have warp capability that is equivalent to the Ross. If we're going to suggest that there is a second ship and it's consistent with Romulan disruptors, then I think it's safe to believe that there is a second warbird in play. And you hear Prawl at the security station just go,
Jane mimics his sigh at the exact same time.
Hey,
have we heard anything from the Kzinti refugees themselves, Captain?
We could say that down in sickbay right now, that is happening. What's up, Olin?
Olin would like to do a mental scan of what's around us to see if the if the Romulan ship that attacked this the Kzinti vessel might still be in the area. They just want to see if they can kind of pick that up.
What you sense are a bunch of frightened refugees that have the capacity to touch minds with their own. You can sense immediately as you open yourself up the buried innate talents that are gifted to Deltans, Betazoids. You can feel that in a vast majority of the people that have taken refuge on this ship, they have been suppressed. You can feel their psionic ability is present. It's like a little spark of light that's been just shoved down and repressed, buried deep underneath layers of fear and repression. But you can sense it. That's the thing that overwhelms you the moment you reach out with your senses.
But I don't get the sense of any nearby, like, Romulan.
Not really. If they were nearby, it would still be kind of overloaded by the feelings you're getting from the Kzinti that are on board the vessel.
Okie dokie.
At about that point, you all hear the very familiar telltale like chirping sound of a transmission coming in, and seconds later, Prawl says, "Captain, we have a transmission coming in from Narendra Station."
On screen.
Coming up on screen, you see Admiral April Abear, and the look on her face is not good. She says, "Captain, how are the evacuations of the refugees coming along?"
We've gotten all of the evacuees off of their own ship and onto ours. There's no time for repairs, so if there's still salvage at this coordinate when someone comes by, they can certainly expect it. We can't do anything with it right now.
Agreed. Captain, shortly after the USS Ross departed Narendra Station, I dispatched the USS Johnson to the particle fountain. En route, they received a distress call from the Dishashian station indicating that a vessel they have never seen before appeared out of nowhere and began launching what seemed to be probes into a wide orbit around the particle fountain. 10 minutes ago, the USS Johnson sent us a distress call, and she is not replying to hails. Long-range sensors have been disrupted by increased activity at the fountain, so we can't get a fix on her location. And it gets worse. Long-range sensors have detected the presence of the Catechus in the sector as well. We do not know their intentions or why they are there. But I need the USS Ross at that particle fountain as fast as her engines can take her there. Wrap up what you're doing with the refugees and respond to the USS Johnson's SOS. Find out what's going on. And you have full authorization to stop the Romulans.
Yes, Admiral. And the Catechus?
Do what needs to be done.
Yes, Admiral. We'll keep you updated as signal allows. I know the particle fountain may disrupt us, but we'll do what we can. Ross
In the
out.
spirit of old naval terminology, Captain, Godspeed. And she cuts off. Oh, I know that terminology. Vrin swivels in his chair. Yeah, they used to say that on Earth. It's like an old Earth saying.
Right, but this is our opportunity to discover, nay, surpass Godspeed. Open her up. Friend.
Sure thing. And then Vrin swivels in the chair and goes, "We're going to take her to maximum." Oh boy. And he starts typing it in. He's laying in a course for a particle fountain. And you see up on the display, setting in a course for P283. He said, "Time to arrival will be about a single day if we take it up to maximum warp, Captain."
Any chance of beating them there?
Ross is pretty fast. Starfleet's never been able to officially confirm how fast warbirds are.
Axios and... Oh, go ahead.
But they run on a singularity engine. That has more power but less stamina, yes?
More power, but more instability if things become breachy. We don't fully understand how it is they're able to harness the power of a singularity the way they do. But we do know that the ship systems of a Romulan warbird are comparable to what we use in the Federation. However, we've made some pretty significant advances, and Ross is fast, Captain. For a ship her size, she's real fast.
Prove it.
Okay. He turns around and starts typing that in, and he goes, watch this.
And that is when Exio sends a memo down to engineering.
Thank you.
What's happening?
Yes, you
Things
see
never gonna
popping
hear
up on the screen, Exio saying, Chief, we're about to take her to maximum warp.
Maximum warp. Okay.
So, Ross,
A
I
plaid
need you to...
print on the pad appears.
Ross, you do not have to mark this down because it's really not relevant when it's out of combat, but the Ross basically burns 9 power.
Mm-hmm.
As
Just for everyone's records, we start at 15, so
you have a lot of power on that ship.
well, we're down to 6.
And the warp core activates. You see that warp core start to hum. The secondary warp core begins to hum as it functions as a supplement, and the power conduits on the ship begin to thrum as the whole Ross comes to life. Her nacelles light up, and she explodes to warp speed. Just whoosh.
All right, everyone, you know the drill. Sing, Dari, let's get to dancing.
Daria's like, I can't believe that I actually like this. What the hell is wrong with me? And
5, 6, 7, 8.
yeah, 5, 6, 7, 8. And she starts to dance. The Ross jumps to warp, and you see the ETA time is roughly 23 hours. So just shy of a day. 10 light years in just shy of a day. The Ross is flying like a bat out of hell right now.
For the next 23 hours, Exio is running combat drills with all the relevant staff.
So we'll get to that. Word begins to eventually spread throughout the ship to what's going on. It's impossible because everyone needs to know to be at battle stations. Civilians on board the ship, everybody starts becoming aware that the Ross is going into a fight. The hatches are battened down, basically. Ox crew starts to respond. You, Olin, start to feel a general sense of anxiety, but you also feel an extraordinary amount of eagerness and determination. Not necessarily for the battle, but to stop the Romulans. You can feel the crew going to work. Ox crew activates. Battle stations and battle drills start being run. And in that 24-hour period, Yuri Prawl, at the end of, like, on break, as it were, retreating back into his quarters to switch out his uniform for a clean uniform after going through battle drills with a few of the security, because Prawl is running everybody on security drills of how to repel borders, if necessary. Prawl goes into his quarters, and he takes off his coat and sets it down on the bed and looks out the window at the streaking skyline of stars that are blazing past the windows at maximum warp. And he pops his neck for a second and pulls his bleached white hair out of the ponytail and lets it spill down around his shoulders, as Prawl has grown out his hair considerably in the past couple of months. And he exhales, just... Tactical Officer's Personal Log, Lieutenant Commander Yuri Prawl, Stardate 60194.95. I'm familiar enough with battle to know the worst part is always the quiet before it begins. And that's the nature of serving on a starship. Computer. Cream soda, cold. Sits back into a chair and says, that's the nature of serving on a starship. As he takes a sip and sets the glass down. Everything up here is so damn quiet. Some keep their minds focused on the task at hand. Others, especially those who've never seen conflict, they're always looking around to gauge their own mortality. And at that moment, if you can imagine a cut to the bridge where Asmi Shanto is noticing that her hand is shaking slightly at the terminal that she's sitting at, before she rubs her palms for a second and goes back to finalizing some log reports of what the Ross is up to, and also creating an emergency escape beacon should something go wrong. She continues to do the programming work. Prawl takes another sip of the soda and says, "You can drive yourself into a breakdown fretting about these what-ifs. For me, it feels like an old friend. Our opponents are Romulans. Again. They're not like the Dominion of the Borg. They don't fight because their gods told them to, or for some kind of mindless dedication to a greater whole. They're just like us. They fight for what they believe in. And so, like us, they're the most determined, unrelenting foe we have ever faced. In the hundreds of years that we have coexisted, there has never been a single decisive battle that settled things once and for all between our two peoples, because that kind of conflict would just destroy us both. And so it is in them that I believe we have met our match. It's fortunate, then, that the Romulans we're fighting are just a twisted few. And I'm not afraid of this. Back during the Dominion War, when we would be nestled down in some of the trenches, I'd always be afraid. I was always scared. I'm not afraid of this, not with this bunch. I have memories from previous hosts stretching back hundreds of years, and in all that time, I've never seen a crew like the USS Ross. This ship has never been truly tested in battle. It goes without saying that the pressure rests most intensely on the shoulders of the captain and the XO. But when the ship goes red, all of us will feel like the captain. All of us are going to feel responsible for the person next to them. And all of us is going to give everything. We're not battle tested, but we're ready. You know, I knew a deep space assignment was going to bring all the weird shit in the universe into my life, and boy, did it ever. I had regrets about taking this post in the beginning. I didn't fit in at all. And I didn't like my XO very much either. I saw her as a naive collection of other people's experiences jammed into a program that imitated a person. But then I realized I'm a joined trill. I'm basically the same damn thing. And now I feel like I have an understanding of Exio that some others don't. And I'm grateful to be serving with her. I've learned a lot from everybody, really. Shit. Even Lacat. Yeah, if that kid didn't love science so much, she would make one hell of a security officer. I've never seen, not even a Cardassian, like, use their imagination and look over their shoulder as much as the cat does. I mean, that's perfect for a science officer. But damn, if she wanted to be security, she'd be a damn good security officer. But I admit, the one I worry about the most is the ambassador. I never got a chance to tell them this, because most of what Olin and I say to each other is unspoken. But I was once Ambassador Fenric Prawl of the United Federation of Planets. I never achieved the same status as Olin, but I was stationed on a starship. and I experience the same listlessness that they do. And now we're going into a fight. It's not going to be easy. Especially for them. I am very pleased I am not empathic. But they have the power to change the course of history with words. And I think they've always struggled in discomfort with that kind of power at their disposal. A little overwhelmed by themselves, maybe. Maybe. And I know how that feels. Whatever happens, I need to make sure that they make it through this. I have to make sure that Olin makes it through this. If this is my final log, I know how ridiculous that sounds, but let's be honest, if this is my final log, I'd like to say for the record that serving aboard the ship has been the honor of my life. Having said that, there are currently 600 Starfleet officers and enlisted serving on this ship. There's 1,900 civilian crew and passengers, and that's not even counting the refugees that we just rescued. This might not be very Starfleet of me to say, but when the shields go up, every phaser shot, every torpedo, every enemy I kill is going to bring me one step closer to keeping my people safe. The Romulans wanted this fight. They made the choice. I'll take no pleasure in the doing, but when battle starts up, I'm going to go for the head. In personal log. What's everybody else on the ship doing in this time period?
Chief Engineer Teclinatus, personal log. Today, I had some phenomenal roast beef. Then we were dancing because we're going max warp. I'm getting my nap because it's my turn for the nap hour, and then I'll get right back to it. The roast beef was great, though.
Do you end personal log?
And personal log.
There's just like 10 seconds of silence where all we hear is like the squishy chewing sounds of
Yeah, like
Lenatus,
a bag of
and then
chips.
realizing it's still being recorded.
Wow.
You know what?
Yeah.
Jane is also gonna do a personal log.
Yeah. All right.
She's speaking out loud though. Lieutenant Jane Lecat, personal log. Personal log, my girlfriend won't get off her desk and she keeps trying to program this emergency sensor, which I'm pretty sure she's already done, and we like pull back to reveal that Jane is standing right next to us.
You're just like staring at her as you're making it's not actually a personal log, you're
It's
just
not a
talking to
personal
her.
log at all. It is just me talking loudly to Asmi Shanta. I'm trying to tell her to take a break.
You see Lecat, as you say this to Asmi, you see she does that frown smile where she is trying not to crack, but you've made her crack. And the moment that smile takes place, you see a single tear roll down the side of her face as the tension breaks. And you can see for a second, like the laughter is intermixed with fear. And she just immediately wipes it away and she says, and she looks at you for a moment with a big loving smile and says, "Thank you."
Oh no, the tear has Jane like frozen in place for a second. And I think she's noticed the shaking hands, and she takes them and says, it was a bad joke. But hopefully not.
No, it was a good joke. It was a good joke. She notices that no one's nearby. She kind of leans in close and says, my father, he fought during the occupation, and he used to tell me he would get drunk sometimes, and he was always very sweet, but when he would get drunk, he would accidentally tell me things. I don't think he knew he was telling me things, and he would accidentally tell me things about things that he had to do and what it was like. And I used to have nightmares all the time about that, and I grew up hating violence and fighting, and I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. I'm just... and as she's saying that, you can see her hands are starting to shake again, and she just starts rubbing her. Says, I'm trying to... I knew when I put on the uniform, this is going to be a part of it, and I accept that, and I'm ready. I'm ready. And she starts to crack a little bit.
You are, and Jane takes her hands and says, "You're more than ready. You are so capable for this job. You are more capable than anyone that I have ever met, and I can't stand to see you shake."
Takes a deep breath and nods and says,
I
okay.
got you, and I want you to know that I've got you forever.
Yeah.
I think we should go for a walk. Let's go for a walk.
Yeah, I'm done here.
I was gonna drag you away if you weren't. I think that you should get away from this for
In
just a second.
In the corner of your eyes, Captain, you see Jane pulling Shanto off the bridge and into the turbolift.
Dismissed.
Closes behind them. The other turbolift opens as Prawl steps on board and resumes his station at Tactical. Says, "Decks are reporting ready, Captain. Damage control teams are going to be in place. Permission to take the ship to red alert."
How far out are we from?
Bryn swivels in the chair and says, "About 8 hours, Captain. We'll be crossing into the Shackleton's expanse in the next 3 hours."
All right. When we cross over, that'll be the time.
Aye, Captain.
I want to know real quick, does Olin feel anything from Prawl?
Prawl is... Olin, it's kind of a scary sensation because you have felt this from Prawl once before. Prawl functioned as a sniper during the war. He was a sharpshooter. He was good at belly crawling through hellish terrain, laying in place for a day at a time, and shooting Vorta and killing Dominion from almost a mile away with a phaser rifle. A type of warfare that you don't commonly see in the Star Trek era because practicality in warfare has changed dramatically. Prawl has a unique set of skills. As a result, Prawl goes into this cold state of mind where he becomes all business. And right now, you feel Prawl is completely emotionally shut down. He feels like a calculator to you.
Commander Exio to Captain Sol.
Go for Sol.
I only have a few minutes before my next trainees are come in for their protocols. I just wanted to say we probably are going to red alert soon, and feel free to lean on me as much as you want, Captain.
Good. Is that not the captain's prerogative? To demand far too much of their first officer and expect her to tote all the weight. I mean, I appreciate the offer, but I was always going to take advantage.
Consider this my resume after already receiving the job, Captain.
Well, I suppose we'll consider you then.
Exio out.
So then here's the question to the crew of the Ross. Ross is currently proceeding at maximum warp towards the Shackleton Expanse. What lay ahead when she comes out of warp could be immediate. It's hard to say what you're going to find the moment you arrive at your destination. As soon as you enter that sector of space, the game changes. So until that time, would anybody like any scenes before we begin?
I was gonna say I wanted to go and prepare the refugees to let them know what's about to happen, so they're not completely unaware of the situation, since they just came out of a.
I would really like to be a part of that, if that's okay.
Perfect. Yes, ideal. So we're going to go down to Shuttle Bay 2.
Okay.
A much smaller shuttle bay that has a few of the worker bees and a few of the smaller shuttlecraft stowed in there, has been cleared out and is currently being used as a triage center for those who do not need immediate medical attention. When you enter into Shuttle Bay 2, you find this place is filled with about 50 Kazenti, roughly. Mm-hmm. Among them, you can see moving through all of the Kazenti who have been given like very comfortable things to sit on and bedding. You can see Counselor Sideric is moving throughout and practicing words that you hear some of the Kazenti children laughing, like and trying to correct him. And his
accent is horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
His pronunciation is all wrong.
The Kazenti children are giggling as they're trying to correct him and speaking back to him in this raspy, like beautiful rolling language that's being spoken. The universal translator, as you predicted, Macrell, is not picking up all of it. And so he's going back and saying it again. But you do notice is even though the children are actually warming up to him a little bit and trying to teach him a few words, you notice every child that is currently talking to him very subtly is a mother that has her paw gently wrapped around their tails or their ankles or within reach, basically, and are watching the whole thing happen. Olin, when you enter in here, you see a couple of nurses and a lot of work. I mean, the ship is going to red alert soon. Everyone knows the ship is probably going into battle. So unfortunately, the nurses that are normally delegated that would be helping these refugees right now are being placed at their stations to receive the injured from a fight.
Prepping the med bay.
Yeah. So it's a little understaffed in here. There's about 3 nurses in here, including the counselor. And the doctor, you can see Macrell is here too, walking up and down and checking on people as you enter. You see the ambassador walk in with a worried look on their face.
Ambassador, is everything all right? I'm assuming that we will be going to red alert shortly.
I do believe that is indeed about to happen. I was curious. I wanted to come down and check in on the refugees and to see how they were doing. I sensed something rather interesting, and it made me, it intrigued me as well as, I don't know if worried is the correct term for it, but I figured perhaps I might be of assistance here, at least until it is time to return to the bridge.
That would be most helpful. Communication with some of the younger ones who do not yet know other languages, even though Kazenti do have quite a tongue for languages, might be difficult. But the elders can communicate well. I'm right now just letting them know the situation and to make sure they're keeping everyone calm.
Were you aware that they have psionic abilities?
Are you feeling this in just the male children?
Am I?
It's hard to pinpoint. As I said, a lot of it is repressed. So as a result, it's kind of hard to pinpoint how you're feeling, where you're feeling it from. But it's definitely from this group of people. And it's enough that you know that it's more than one, more than a couple.
It's difficult to say which gender I'm feeling these particular abilities from. I just know that it is deeply repressed, unpracticed, perhaps.
That would
And
not surprise me.
There seem to be several of them with this capability.
That is very interesting. It is a trait that in certain male cousin Tosh, but I was one that also developed the abilities, probably inherited from my father. I suspect that it could be found in female Kazinti as well, just bred out of them for the most part.
I'm sorry, can you please rewind that for just a moment? Your father is Kazinti.
Yes, it's something that I have not shared with nearly anyone.
You mean to tell me that all this time you've had telepathic abilities?
I have abilities that I do not wish to use, Ambassador. What you can do with your mind and what I can do with mine is very different. When a Kazinti uses their telepathic abilities, it is a great amount of pain, not just to the target, but to them as well. It is not a pleasant experience for either party. It's not something that is used often, except in battle or manipulation. I have suppressed mine for many years. But
the tea.
Yes.
That is why you never let anyone else drink the tea.
It would have given you quite a headache.
I imagine so.
The reason why I'm being so honest with you now is because I will need your help. If these Kazanreti are running from the Kazandashi and wanting a better life for themselves, they will need people in Starfleet on their side. And if what you said is true, that some of them do have certain abilities, then perhaps we can help teach and develop without the pain. It's something that I have been beginning to do research on.
Of course, I'm more than happy to help however I can. I am sorry that you didn't feel that you could share this information with me sooner. I would have liked to have been a helping hand for you.
I've definitely been more open to sharing recently. I have presented myself and had everyone believing that I was a fully Cation Starfleet officer. It was something that I have kept hidden for quite some time. The captain is aware of my secret, and we had notified Starfleet of my medication. I'm sure when I return back to Starfleet, I will have some explaining to do.
I think that tends to be true for the lot of us. Have you seen the things we get up to?
Yes, we tend to stir the pan of dramas.
I believe it's the pot.
Yes, we stir the pot and pans. Like
Well-
the chief, we are in the kitchen. We have too many,
Cooks?
yes, too many cooks in the pantry. And we get into... I'm working on my metaphors and similes.
Well, if you find yourself spending any extensive time on Earth, then I imagine you'll get it quite quickly.
Yes, I've been told I'm a quick learner.
How can I help?
What's it called? I am sharp as the whipped cream. I'm just gonna stop trying to make my things make sense.
Of course. Well, until I am needed back at my station, how can I help?
I fear that some of the younger ones are scared. All of this is unfamiliar to them. It is a lot to take in. I know you have certain special abilities to maybe help subside some of that fear.
I can certainly help to withdraw some of their pain if any of them are hurt. And I'm fairly decent with picking up languages if you can give me a few key phrases. I see you've already made the attempt with... Is that Counselor Cedric?
Yes, the counselor is not as sharp as the whipped cream when it comes to the language, but I have a feeling that he is messing some up on purpose to make them giggle. Although I don't think he realized some of the insults he said to one of the mothers.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate. I will.
It was
attempt
very
to
funny,
avoid
though.
that. I'm sure it was. Yes, I will help to rally the troops.
Okay.
Yes. And I did want to, before leaving, I wanted to, reach out to some of the elders to keep everyone calm and explain the situation, and also to let them know that they are safe. And
so the cage, these Gazenti, not surprising, like a lot of them are, for refugees who are fleeing persecution, the mention that you are going to engage the thing that attacked them stirs their blood, and they're all for it. You hear a few of the elders are like, good. Will we get to taste their flesh? Will we get to kill them ourselves? They endangered our children. We should kill them all.
I'm going to grab the paws of I feel like the one that's kind of like the leader of them, and I was like,
yeah. So as you grab her paws, you, being of Kazenti blood, are able to read through what was just said would cause anybody to take anybody aback.
Right.
But if you grab her paws, you can see the hurt and fear in her eyes as you squeeze her hands for a second. That rage is being fueled by that hurt and fear, and she lets it drop for a second.
I'm going to speak to her in Hero's tongue.
Okay.
Obviously I will not do that right.
Sure.
I'm translating for myself.
Yeah. No, we get that. We
can and I'm going to tell her, I'm going to say, I know you are vengeful, but now is not the time to act on scream and leap. The warrior blood that runs through our veins is no match for the warriors on the USS Ross. You are now part of our warrior clan. We will fight together. As the Ross fights, so do you. And then I will say, if you are a believer in the Fanged God, say a prayer for us all, and we will be victorious. And then I will release her paws.
As you try to pull away, she squeezes your hand and pulls you closer, as you're about to leave. And she stares at the badge on your doctor's coat. And her eyes slowly drift up to yours, and she says, "You are Kazenti."
I'm going to look deep into her eyes and say, I am Kizinti, and I am more. All of you are more.
And she gently releases your hand, and you see the awe and emotion in her face, having never seen another female Kazenti in a position of power and authority, and also showing leadership like this. She sinks back and looks at you and glances to the children and a few of the others, and she looks back at you and she places her hand upon her chest and bows deeply to you.
I do the same. And I say, the ship that you are on is filled with some of the bravest that I have ever seen. It puts our Kazintashi warriors to shame. We shall be victorious.
She nods.
Hopefully I made them believe that, because even Mackrell is scared.
58 episodes and 172 hours of role playing. And Bonnie finally revealed her secret to Aki.
Look, you know,
you
we're
play
about
the
to go
long
into
game,
war.
Miss Gordon.
I figured the finale's next week, you know.
I've been waiting for this, y'all. Been waiting.
I hinted at it. I definitely hinted at it, and a lot of people in Discord and chat, I think, figured it out early on, but I never clarified. And it's one of those things that I've wanted to share, but Mackrell now, she doesn't even give a shit. Now she's around. She's seeing now that what she is makes a difference, and what runs through her veins actually can be used for good. And so
no one in this shuttle bay is ever going to forget this moment, and none of these Kazenti are going to forget one of their own wearing that blue coat with the pips on her collar. None of them.
One more thing I do want to add, because when I'm holding her and when I see her look down at the badge, I go, "This is my warrior's mark," to my Starfleet badge.
Mm.
And then I'll even say, like, "And healing is my weapon." And then I'll put my clothes up, and these.
And these. With that, unless there's anything else, it's Captain Saul. What is the captain doing in these hours before leading the troops into battle?
Well, I'm doing all sorts of things one can montage through. I talk with the ambassador. I talk with Prawl. I observe the drills that our XO is doing. I just look in the door of main engineering, see the foxtrot, know everything is all good, and I walk back out again. But we settle at last, and I am tinkering, and since all the cool kids are doing it, porting.
Okay.
Hey, Blip. If you've accessed this message, those Romulans have committed the most mortal sin. They put one too many holes in my ship. Every single person on my boat is irreplaceable, and I can't protect them all. But you're the one who can float through space for an indefinite period of time, even if the rest of us have become one with the debris. That's why I made this thing. Terrestrial aircraft used to have what they called a black box. It was a near indestructible chassis that contained the data and the logs of the aircraft to tell the story, and by the time I finished this sentence, you knew everything about black boxes, their construction, and the history of the terrestrial aircraft. So you know you can't make the whole plane out of that black box stuff, but I could make one for you. For your ring. That's what you're in right now. If you're here, the ship-wide emitters went down, and you're in your backup in the most indestructible box I could make. Hell, you may be the one piece of the Ross that makes it through this. Those black boxes carried the data and the logs, and now you do. Pass along whenever this little box gets picked up. I do not know how long that will be. So I've also included the largest data packet I could fit into storage. Somehow, though, I can't imagine you bored. You will reinvent all of mathematics or something, won't you? Just do me a favor, Exio. Tell their story, will you? They're such a good crew. They're so good. Do you know what? You'll never need this. Not with this crew. So I lied. You're hearing this when I play it for you. And we look back, and we laugh, right? It's a good job. Congratulations, Captain Blip. I love you. End recording.
As you end the recording, you hear Prall's voice overhead in your quarters. Captain, we've crossed into the Shackleton Expanse.
Red alert. Get them. Battle stations.
Taking the ship to red alert. All hands, red alert. We are at battle stations.
Engineering, reporting in, red alert.
You hear all the decks start reporting in, and Prall says, all decks are on standby, sir. Damage control teams are in place. We'll be ready.
Olin re-enters the bridge.
And a Blip
Vryn
next
swivels
to you.
from the chair. Blip appears. You step onto the bridge. Vryn swivels in the chair and says, ETA to destination, Captain, is roughly 4 hours from now.
Good.
We've got long-range sensors.
All right, what can we pick up?
All right. The cat. Go ahead and make that classic roll that you've been rolling for us since January 2020. If you could, please.
Oh, heck yeah. And I'm guessing I can use my sensor's focus here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
And the Ross will be assisting. The difficulty of this is 4.
Oh, lovely. What does the Ross get? Because I
Ross got
3
2 successes. You got, okay, so gain a point of momentum. Oh man, those high definition long range sensors that the Ross had upgraded to right before she left the Shackleton Expanse coming into play. As you were able to get full readings at long range from light years away, the way most starships get readings when they're in orbit of a planet. You detect the observer station for the Jashashians is intact.
Okay.
It was the one that initially sent out the SOS. There is enormous amounts of activity in that sector, and it's really making it difficult to get any kind of reading. The one thing that you can get is that the particle fountain has dramatically increased in size. It is now 780 kilometers in diameter, and the eruption point is 68,000 kilometers. It is a giant space volcano at this point. It is more than quadrupled in its size since the last time y'all were here. You could conceivably turn on the view screen, and if the Ross was at a full stop, you would be able to see it from where you were at, should the light have been able to travel that far, that amount of time. But it would be, this is going to light up the night sky for light years and for many decades to come.
So you mentioned, sorry.
What's up?
So you mentioned there was disturbance as well, so that's, causing
the nature of the disturbance you cannot read from this range.
Okay,
and
so
it is all because of the interference from the extraordinary amount of activity from the particle fountain.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is that interfering with me also seeing whether or not those probes that were mentioned are present?
Yeah, you're not able to tell.
Okay.
Don't we have subject matter experts for this kind of thing? Who spent their whole careers studying things? Can't you send this down to the tanks? Let them work on it.
I love that. I love that the deck is just called the tanks now. Cetacean
It
Ops
has
is
to
just
have
called
been,
the tanks. Yeah, no, it
Everything
makes
is
sense.
nicknamed, always.
Cetacean Ops is
Sending
just
this
called the
to
tanks. Send it to the tanks.
Captain.
You hear over the comms, Dr. Yada responding, getting the information now, Captain. A few moments passing before you hear Yugos say, "Gods, it's enormous. That cannot be naturally occurring, Captain. That cannot be naturally occurring. It's far too much activity. It's increased in size far too much for this to be a normal occurrence."
Supposedly there are. Does he know about the probes? If not, I'm going to inform him
He
about
doesn't,
those
no.
right now.
Okay, so you let him know about the probes. He says, I don't know what that could be unless they are. We have connected them to the torpedoes that they were trying to design in order to affect subspace. It could be that they have been attempting to use them, and if that's the case, it could be causing the particle fountain to grow in size. But my understanding was that their objective was just to cause multiple breaches of other particle fountains. This might be part of that process. I need more data. I need to find out what it is I need to get an energy reading of what's happening around the base of the particle fountain. Dr. Yada chimes in and says, we can use some of our stellar cartography to get a basic long-range scan, Captain, but even with Lacat's incredible skill in the high-definition sensors on the Ross, we're not going to know until we're in system in that sector.
We'll keep an eye on it until then, Captain.
Good. Thank you. I think Olin hears about 3 sarcastic responses. They bit back. They're like, not the time, not the time, not the time.
So here's what we're going to do.
Not the time.
I think that Olin just kind of like lightly rests their arm on the armrest between themselves and the captain. It's just like, it's just kind of an offering if they need it, but like
I think Sol puts their arm on the armrest as well, so they're like,
yeah, and then kind of just sends a little mental message of there'll be plenty of time for that later.
You heard it though. You heard it too. I know you did.
I heard it. I did.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go and break a little bit early because we got a big second half. So we're going to go ahead and take 10 minutes now. We're going to be back at 8 p.m. our time, so on the hour. So don't go anywhere, y'all. We'll see you in about 10 minutes. Welcome back to Clear Skies. We are in that precious moment before battle. In Star Trek VI, this would be the great countdown scene where Spock was letting them know how much time they have until they arrive at Khitomer. It's very similar right now as the Ross is currently speeding at maximum warp, burning the midnight oil, powering those 2 warp drives to keep her at sustained maximum warp for just under a day. You have been racing through the stars faster than the speed of light to get to the location because the Romulans apparently are in their in-game. All this time, it all comes back to this particle fountain, one of the very first missions that the USS Ross ever undertook here in the Shackleton Expanse, which led to her very first contact mission. So much has happened. This place has been a flashpoint, and it led you to a strange series of events that all seem to coincide. The first contact with the Jashashian people at Jadaran, and the emergence of the crystalline entity, the data you uncovered about all the life that existed in the galaxy previously, which was connected with that ancient race that has had multiple names that might have had a hand in creating humanity, for all you know, and other life forms in the galaxy, somehow being interconnected with this ecosystem that exists in deep space. And even when the Rosses made the diplomatic flagship and pulled across the galaxy, you still found yourselves in the web, all leading back here, 5 minutes out from your destination at maximum warp. Everything has led back to this moment, this particle fountain, the exploratory missions that the Ross has done, all of the good that she has done here in the Shackleton Expanse. This seems to be the cornerstone somehow. It's all interconnected. It's never been clear how, but you have a feeling one way or the other this gets resolved in the next hour. And you hear Vren give you the fateful word, 5 minutes out, Captain. And Prawl says, Captain, I've got visuals.
On screen.
Coming up on screen, you see indeed the confirmation of what long-range sensors were telling you. The enormity of the particle fountain it's extraordinary. You remember the last time you were here, and now silhouetted against that great explosion of energy and particles exploding out from subspace, you can see the small silhouette of the Jashashian observer station. Still at station's keeping, right where the USS Ross left her. Still placed where she was observing. No signs of any ships, but you hear Prawl answer your suspicions immediately, where he says, if they're here, Captain, they're rigged for silent.
Any way to use all of this energy, all of this signal for gravitational lensing detection?
That would be a Lacat roll.
I can roll for that.
I'm going to science the shit out of this. So
do the science, Lacat. Do the science.
So I'm going to have you. So I'm going to set the difficulty for this at 3, and it's going to start revealing certain things. So Lacat, go ahead and make your reason science check. And as usual, it's going to be a sensor science roll from the Ross.
Can I spend a momentum for this? For cautious? Let's do that.
We've got a lot.
Thank you, thank you.
We're down to 5.
Perfect. That is 4 successes for me.
Okay. Nicely done. All right. So here's what sensors tell you. There is an enormous amount of disruption taking place.
Yeah.
And judging from what you were reading off the sensors, it seems to be coming in pulses. It looks like it looks like basically all the interference is happening in like a heartbeat sort of thing, but at random intervals. So it's difficult to predict when the pulses are happening. However, judging from the sheer size of tetryon particles that are exploding outwards from that sphere, that particle fountain, what you know for a fact, Lacat, is shields are going to be very difficult to maintain, and cloaking is going to be damn near impossible to use. So if they're cloaked right now, it's not going to stay that way. And if they try to enter into their cloaking devices again in the battle, they're not going to be able to stay that way. This is going to affect everything in the region. As you enter the sector, officially, the trait for this sector in this battleground is going to be that the difficulty of all weapon rolls and all movement rolls from starships are at 2, and shields take an additional point of damage for any damage done to them, including theirs.
Just as a reminder, shields are at 17 right now.
You guys have, I just want to point out that is some of the most powerful shield emitters in Starfleet.
Hey, we don't have to point that out right now.
No, I'm just saying the Ross is a tank. He is a big, hefty tank. That is a monster shield rating for a starship. But they are going to, you're not going to lose your shields, but the closer, I will tell you, Lacat, the closer you get to the particle fountain, shields will start taking damage immediately. Tetryon is known for basically draining shield power and making it impossible for cloaking devices to work.
Wonderful.
Famously, Commander Data used the Tetryon net to detect cloaking devices.
And I could have missed this in the information that you just gave, but and if I need to roll for this, let me know. All the interference that we're facing is definitely a result of this particle fountain. There are no additional, there's no one out there fucking with us as well, because that sounds like a pretty great advantage if we don't have our shields up.
Also, before you answer too, we do have 3 floating momentum to be used for information spends.
Can I use an information spend for that?
Right, especially because you guys said they could get more once we got to the base of the place.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just as I think that as Lacat is doing this, Olin does kind of reach out to Azari one more time, just going, do we want to try to locate the catechus?
if you can, please do. Helpful to know what's on the field.
Oh, I'm sorry, not Tetrion, tachyon. I'm getting my my T's mixed up. It's tachyon particles.
No, perfect.
Not
Wonderful.
Tetrion. Yeah, Tetrion is the energy. I'm getting confused because Tetrion is actually the energy that the Tholians use for their primary weapon source. Tachyon particles are what attack and damage shields and cloaking devices.
The Tholians. Why on earth would you need that information too, Eric? About their weapons. Oh,
Your entry. There's going to be multiple ships in this one, so I got to keep track of a lot of NPCs.
Oh no.
I would like to see if I can't track down one of the ships that are on the field.
But yes, I would like to use
available.
also before we do that, if we can resolve the extra spend momentum.
Yeah. Sorry, go
you
ahead.
were trying to find out if this is all naturally occurring.
Yeah, all this interference is naturally occurring.
It's all naturally occurring.
Right.
It looks like a side effect of interference from the particle fountain. So, it would seem that the sheer onslaught of tachyon particles coming out of the particle fountain is the culprit here.
Okay.
Probably a side effect of what they're doing, and probably out of their control.
And just as a reference, we were scanning the fountain, correct? We don't have any information on the Johnson.
Right.
That's correct. I do want to contact Chief Tech real quick, though.
Go for Tech.
Chief Tech, there are probes out here that we cannot see, and I want to know what information they are collecting. I don't know if you have anything. My sensors are only doing so much, so basically I'm putting your mind on this too.
Yeah, well, we could maybe construct a probe or two of our own and send out there. I mean, there's a lot of interference, but so just a second. But no, I think we could bring something up, maybe.
Great. And that's it. That's all I wanted to do. What is it that you wanted to do, Olin?
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of basically want to see what pieces are out on the field, if I can sense the general locations of our various bogies.
Okay. Let's do all of that while Sam initiates repairs. And I mean, let's be honest. Romulans are clearly pretty insidious if they're going meta. And that's pretty messed up.
They got Sam.
They got Sam. No, they got Sam.
Now a quest for
Inside the Zoom
captain.
call.
Wow, I love this.
Okay, so all right, so who would like to go first? You're going to try to design a probe, is that right, Xander? You're going to try to prepare a probe?
Yes.
Okay, that's easy enough to program. So that is going to be an engineering check for you.
Okay. I'm good at that.
Control engineering, and with the Ross's help, that's going to be computers and engineering.
Got it.
Difficulty is 2.
Would I also be able to use my focus of containment fields for this probe? Specifically protecting the probe from the interference so that we can keep in communication and we'd be able to keep track of it. Okay. And then, that's all. I'm going to spend 1 for cautious.
Okay. Let's make your roll.
Okay. 2.
Oh, shit.
Crit. 4.
I rolled a natural 1.
Nice. Okay, so juice up on momentum.
What was the difficulty anyway? Whoops.
Difficulty was 2.
Oh, great. So nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the floating momentum, could we have 3 probes then? 1 for each 2 that we would have lost?
If you spend 2 momentums, then I'll let you have 3 probes.
We should do it. We got.
So we had 4 momentum that we would have had.
You had 3 floating. Yeah. Okay. So that's easy enough to do. It's a simple job of programming the torpedoes, or rather the probes in the tubes. It's a quick job. Insundari is furiously working on the computer as she helps you come up with this. On the bridge, you hear friends say, 1 minute, 50 seconds.
Chief Tech to Exio.
Go for Exio.
Commander, I could really use your expertise on this. We're going to be firing out these probes, but you can do these calculations in less than seconds.
Send me the specs, Chief.
We'll load them up.
Okay. Specs appear at your comm station. You see them pop up on a hologram right in front of you, Exio.
All right. I would like to help in aiding these probes successfully get to their targets.
They can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Are they uploaded with a holographic goose?
Yeah, that's painted on the side of the probe.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll do. I'm going to say narratively, Exio using her computational skills is what narratively supplies you with the extra probes that you're using.
Okay, cool.
Because Exio would have had to have rolled to an assist there, and you already spectacularly succeeded. So we'll say that Exio's involvement is actually what gives you what you need. Oh, well, I can apply this template to the other 2 probes that I was going to use. And it's easy enough to upload and get that activated. So with Exio's help, you're going to be able to shoot 3 probes into the direction of the particle fountain.
Go team.
All right. Anybody else before we initiate?
Olin was doing...
what's up, Olin? You wanted to try to sense things out there?
Yeah, I think the first thing, the biggest concern is the one thing that we can't see that we really need to be able to see, and that's actually not what everybody thinks is the Johnson. We need to see if we can figure out where that is. Like, they're the ones that are in distress. We need to figure out where they are.
So this was actually... So you're trying to figure out where the Johnson is?
Yeah, if possible. Let's start there and then go around the circle.
So closing your eyes, you stretch out to try to find a presence, any kind of mental presence. Picturing the captain, Amelia, in your mind and the pictures that you've seen of her, and like an image of the Intrepid class that you remember seeing at Space Dock. You start assembling sort of a mental architecture in which to anchor yourself to find any presence of these people out there.
Also, a quick point of clarification. Was it the Johnson that had the Betazoid exo?
Let me refer to my notes. It's been a hot minute.
But good call.
Very good call.
It's been a hot minute. I think it was the Thunderchild, actually. Yeah.
Hector ship. Got it.
But either way, reaching out, you feel they're here and there are people who are alive. That's the most you can get, but you definitely sense the presence of people who are hanging on. A feeling of desperation and hope.
I think I've got the Johnson out there. They're in a tight spot, but they seem to be more or less okay.
Good to know. And Exio, right? Like we've got like a minute counter, correct?
Yes. You are actually, you're able to like tap into Vrin's computer, so you absolutely know what the countdown is. Yeah,
at exactly a minute before, she's going to make a big clap sound.
Okay.
As like a, all right, people, we've got exactly 60 seconds. It's time to get. She wants to like alarm everyone so that the initial jump that everyone's waiting for prematurely happens, so they have a second to relax.
I love that because it's like clapping your hands to save Tinkerbell, and the moment you did that, Sam appeared.
I believe.
I do
Clap
believe
your
in
hands,
fairies.
Box Crew.
I do.
I do believe in captains. I do.
And
okay.
do we have any? Is there a way? I want to create an advantage that I've like prepped the crew from like premature fear, if that's like a thing to like prepare. Is like.
So to create an advantage, you can spend 2 momentum. And what that will do is, for the rest of the scene, what I will do is I will give the crew high morale.
Okay.
And basically, on selected rolls, I'll give them a bonus. I'll give them. I'll reduce the difficulty by 1.
Okay. So big clap alarm. I'm like looking for people to kind of do that quick jump, and I'm like Great. And then remind everyone that this is simultaneously a rescue mission of a possible Jashashian station, the Johnson, and that there are possibly 2 cloaked Romulan ships that will appear to be ready for surprise.
Okay. Crew responds. You can, Olin can definitely sense it. And
we're still near the Jashashian station, correct?
You're about to be.
Yeah. And there are people still stationed on that, correct?
You're not sure.
Right.
There were when you left.
There were when we left. So that's, 2 enemies and 2 rescues. And we've got refugees on board. Let's make the Ross proud today.
All right. And with that, Vrins counts down to 10, 9, 8, powering down the cells, now entering the sector.
The cells powered down.
You see on the screen, go ahead and mark your powers up to full.
Yeah, thank you. I was nervous.
No, the rules specifically state that your power completely refills once you change scenes.
Hell yeah.
So you guys are at
make
full
a
power.
scene more often.
I did also want to try for the Tholian ship, but that was why I originally
using your
yeah.
You're not really going to be able to get a sense or feel if they're here until you can get an idea of whether or not they're even in the. All you all know is that they're in the sector.
Okay, we don't know that they're actually.
Yeah, it's hard to say if they're out there.
All right, cool.
On the view screen, you see the long lines of star trails suddenly come into single points as the Ross exits warp. The moment she exits warp, you see on the main view screen the particle fountain and the Jashashian observer station. You also immediately, Lacat, an alarm begins to chirp on the sensors indicating a Starfleet SOS in this sector. It's being severely disrupted by the activity of the particle fountain. And at about that point is when you realize that communications out of the sector right now are damn near impossible.
I'm sorry, continue.
You can roll right now to do a sensor sweep and find out where you are, what's going on, and what the situation is.
Yeah, would love to do that. And then that SOS that we're getting, or maybe let's do the sensor sweep first.
The sensor sweep will cover the SOS.
Okay, great.
You're basically raising periscope and looking around to see what the hell is going on.
Cool.
Take a momentum just in case.
Yeah.
We're down to 2.
Because of the difficulties of the particle fountain, the difficulty is going to be 3. So roll. So you got 3 successes. What are the Ross got 1? So gain 1 momentum.
I mean, I was out, so believe your count, not mine.
Right.
So let's say 3 then.
The tactical situation comes up on the main view screen, adjacent in a small window, holographically displayed for everybody to see what's going on. You see the USS Johnson is the first thing that pops up on the view screen. She has been heavily damaged. She is adrift. Her port nacelle is completely sheared off, and you can see heavy plasma damage across her hull. Power systems are fluctuating, and she is currently running on minimum life support. She is completely adrift. It looks like she has taken heavy battle damage.
Any
Certainly,
life signs at all?
You are detecting life signs, yes.
Okay.
You are detecting a couple of 100 crew members are still alive on board that ship.
Yeah. Olin confirmed that earlier. So
yeah. The Johnson is currently adrift. You also see, sure enough, your sensors are able to detect the 18 small objects that are currently in an expansive circle around the particle fountain.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all you detect as you enter the sector. Nothing else, except for the minor fluctuations of those particles, which could at any moment pulse again and cause an energetic shockwave that could affect your shields and decloak the Romulans if they're here.
In the same way that I did a analysis of like the blast pattern for the Kazinti freighter, can I do an analysis of what destroyed the hull here?
I won't have you roll for it. It's a dead match.
Okay.
It's consistent with Romulan energy weapons.
Yeah, Captain, those look like the same Romulan disruptors.
Since we're looking at it on screen, where on the hull the nacelle has been sheared off, that is kinetic force or some kind of a blast force. That doesn't sound consistent with the disruptor itself, but the disruptors, are they on the fore, on the aft of the ship? I'm trying to sort of piece together a little bit of...
To get an idea of how they were attacked.
Yeah.
You do see they are on the aft of the ship. You also see... let's see, hold on. You can also tell that as she is adrift and rolling, you're getting a tactical scan of her. It looks like she took damage on the y-axis. So you're seeing hull burns on her belly, basically, as well as, sure enough, you're seeing what looks like plasma scoring all across her hull, especially around that nacelle. It looks like portions of the ship that have been damaged have been cooked. They've just been completely warped by superheated energies.
Consistent with Romulan weapons?
Romulans are known for using plasma torpedoes, which literally light ships on fire in space when they hit them.
But they're still at minimal life.
Yep.
So either we got here just in time, or
they're the bait for a mousetrap.
That.
Captain, this is Tech coming in from engineering. This interference may mess with any beaming procedures that Singh will have to do. I suggest we may have to get closer, or we have enough power for the tractor beam if you'd like.
How far are we from the Johnson right now, Bren?
Prawl, you hear Prawl enters into some of the coordinates, and Vryn swivels in the chair and says, about 18,000 kilometers, Captain.
All right. Continue on. Keep the particle fountain at our aft. If the Romulans want to decloak and shoot up our tail, I want to put them in the more risky position to do so.
Captain, you hear Prawl sounding surprised. Captain, I'm receiving a hail on an encrypted channel. Unknown who is sending it.
Look over to Olin. You ready? You might be up. On screen.
Popping up on screen, you see the grinning face of Captain Tagal of the IKS Kuvat. He leans forward in his chair and says, "It's about time you got here, Captain. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. There are Romulans to kill. Your Admiral told me that you were one ship short."
And so they sent their tallest. Forgive our tardiness. It took a while to load this blood wine on. But after our victory, I'm sure we'll find cause to drink it.
We will not let the Shackleton expanse fall to these fools. Today is a good day to kill. And it cuts off immediately. And Prawl says, "We're receiving another hail, Captain."
Please be more friends. Please be more friends. Put
Decloaking.
it on the screen and disillusion me.
At the same time the hails come through, you see in the main view screen, decloaking about 8,000 kilometers in front of the Ross is a Deredex class warbird. Designated the RRW Tamel. Popping up on screen as the transmission is coming through, and says, "Captain, that's not the warbird that's hailing us." Coming up on screen, you see a very familiar face of Ambassador Pagino. As he appears, you see his kind of smug look, and as he spots you, Olin, and he says, "Ah, Ambassador, I had hoped you would be along on this doomed mission so that I could look at you one more time."
I fail to understand why it is that you're doing this.
Perhaps then it would be best if I let my Admiral address you. He nods as he steps aside. And stepping into view, you see a Romulan with short-cut blonde hair. With the features that look strangely humanoid. A cross between a human and a Romulan. But her eyes burn with cunning, and the smile on her face is deadly. You know her well from Starfleet records, and you have heard her name dropped many a time since the Ross left Space Dock. This is the woman that has been a shadow player and has been conspiring against the efforts of the Ross since you all arrived in the Shackleton Expanse. And as she steps into view and she says, well, here we are at last. Captain, tradition dictates that I should be allowed to give you and your crew a chance to surrender. We all know that this is simply an opportunity for you to speak and bluster. But I think since your death is near, it would be appropriate to allow you this one moment to try to convince your crew that you have a chance.
No, yes, we surrender. Come over here and accept it.
Very well, Captain. Here we come. And it cuts off. And Prawl says, Captain, the bird of prey in front of us is charging disruptors. And
the bird of prey decloaked?
The warbird, sorry. The warbird. There's going to be a lot of birds.
Yep.
As he is saying that, just off of the Ross's port side, is the second bird of prey, the RRW Imperius, decloaks. And because she is using a cloaking device, she is going to get initiative on you. Wow. So the first fired shot goes to the RRW Imperius. The shields are up. Y'all are at red alert. My tank is full of threat, and I'm rolling dice. You are now in combat.
Can you not roll dice?
Aki raises a good point. Well done. That was the battle. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah, we do. I would just like to remind you that we have upgraded with a blade of armor.
I wasn't going to remind him until he decided to go do damage.
I have fought Sam in battle in Star Trek Adventures enough times to know that I need to pull every stop I've got.
Oh no, we can keep some stops.
Before I even reviewed the Ross's character sheet, I was already plotting on how the Imperius is going to act when she fought you guys. No. So we are going into this. She is going to open fire. She is currently at long range. She is sending a plasma torpedo as a warning shot across your shields. So it's not the best opening salvo. Here we go. Gonna roll. Let's see. This is going to. Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me where the particle fountain is? Is it at our where is everybody?
Sure. So the particle fountain is currently dead ahead. Just off of center of dead ahead is the Romulan warbird. About 18,000 kilometers to starboard is the Johnson, and currently not in immediate danger.
Right.
The station, of course, is up ahead, and you have no idea where the Kovat is, which is probably the way the captain wants it.
Sure.
At the moment, anyway.
Okay. Where is the station relative? One more time, sorry.
So the station's dead ahead.
Okay.
So the dead ahead. So right now there's a warbird between you and the station.
Okay, got it. Perfect. Thank you.
So does that all make sense? Yeah, this big 3-dimensional combat space that we're playing.
We're only using 2 dimensions right now. No problem.
That's true.
We're all on the plane of the ecliptic here. We're about to cause pain to the ecliptic here.
Theoretically, we're using 2 dimensions right now. There's still a third ship. There's still another ship out there that hasn't. Yeah.
Others might be doing other things. We're using 2.
Difficulty 3 on the torpedoes. I'm going to roll control security. Okay, so that's 1. And then the weapons security. Assist from the ship. So I'm going to gain 2 momentum as I hit you. 2 threats. And that is going to cause, let me roll some damage.
Okay, we do have a resistance of 8, I believe, if that comes into play.
It does come into play. Resistance subtracts from the total amount of damage that you take. After you take this damage and the resistance eats it up, you're going to apply what's left over to the shields.
But there's not going to be any. Because
Or he rerolls for more damage, thereby spending down his threat. Everything is resources.
Yep, I'm spending 2 threat for piercing.
Oh.
So I'm going to reduce your resistance down by 2.
To 6.
Wait, hold on one sec.
Does that ignore resistance?
It reduces your resistance.
Okay.
Because
damage.
it could come out of the resistance from scale if you wanted to think of it. It's fungible, ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Penetration, 1 momentum. So for per momentum spent, so it's actually reducing your resistance by 4. Because it's 1 momentum, ignores 2 resistance per momentum spent. I spent 2. That's 2, 4.
Good on
Hey,
our
y'all are going to be
side.
doing it too. Do it.
I know,
do
but
it,
it's
do
bad
it.
when you do it.
Right. You just have much more than we do right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh. I'm going to spend 1 threat to re-roll that.
Okay.
And okay, so I
Do
got
that as much as you want.
6.
Maybe not as much. But yeah.
All right, that is going to be a total of 6 points of damage. But it's vicious, so 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 points of damage from the torpedo.
11?
Spill over onto shields.
What's the resistance? What is your resistance down to?
4.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right.
So 11,
more
so
spells,
minus
so it'd be
4?
7 into shields.
7 into shields, and that's enough to cause a breach because you take 5 damage.
Not to be that guy, but didn't you
what's up?
say that while we were in this field, we take 1 extra damage to shields?
Oh, thank you. Yes, yeah, you'll
Oh,
take
I thought
1
that was on the pulse.
Oh no, that's
Okay,
in
it's
that's
throughout.
that's
In the
that's a
field.
trait.
That's a trait of
fighting
the
spirit.
scene.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a trait of the scene.
So we're down to 9 shields.
Yep. So let me pull up.
Yeah, you hear panic just coming up from engineering. That really was a bad hit. We should not take another hit like that. If they were aiming to hit us again, we should not. We should move. Because I can't give any more power to shields, Captain. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to roll a die here.
Find some. We're going to be taking many more.
14. That's damage to the structure. Okay, so you take 1 breach. So I'm marking that down. You're basically the hull was hit hard. I'm going to roll a challenge die, and if an effective roll, a random character in the ship has been injured. These injuries are considered to be lethal.
Go on.
I swear if you kill Prawl
I
again.
roll an effect. I'm rolling a die now to see who just got injured from this.
Oh no.
Okay, so that's going to be 6, 7, 8.
When they say our days are numbered, he's not kidding. We're numbered.
Lethal injury means that you need to treat by the end of the scene. It does not mean insta-murder.
Unless I'm the one who's injured and I'm already there.
There is no answer that we are going to find pleasing.
Okay, so Lacat, your console explodes in front of you.
Oh no! Typical Star Trek explosion console.
The impact of the torpedo on the hull of the ship causes the bridge to rock, and there is a bright spark in front of you. It's the last thing you remember before your mind is rocked and you hit the deck. You all watch in horror as everyone is kind of tossed aside from the impact of the torpedo. And as everyone does the shift and shimmy and throw, Lacat, that console, you watch Lacat basically fly out of her chair and roll to the ground with horrible burns across the side of her face. She is unconscious. And you can hear crying out as she rushes over to her. You can hear Asmi Shanto go, "Medic! Medical emergency!" as she rushes down the ramp and collapses next to Lacat. One of the Aux crew members jumping into the science station as it's smoldering and just puts retardant all over it and just causes the fire dip down. You can see the lights fluctuating across the console. Lacat, you don't know where you are right now. Your world just got rocked.
Yeah, like you hear her like groan upon impact. I think that like if she was any more conscious, she would have done like a "I'm fine, keep going." But I don't.
Here's the great part though.
Yeah.
You are a main cast member.
Yeah.
You can spend momentum to shrug it off.
Oh,
Is it?
You can spend 2 momentum to ignore a lethal hit, and basically, I think I'm okay.
can I?
So you
do
can
that?
only do it once. If you do it a second time, it increases in how much momentum it costs and difficulty to get away with it.
Penultimate game, baby. Let's do it.
Okay, so spend 2 momentum, Lacat, and you kind of just like, what happened? And you see Asmi looking down at you. 1 minute you're at your station, the next minute you're on the ground.
Yeah, I'm okay. She like grabs onto Asmi's shoulder and like uses it to like stand up and like goes back for her dashboard. But is it completely shot to hell?
No, the science station did not actually physically. It was a power surge.
Okay,
the station
great.
managed to protect itself, so the breach is not going to affect the science station, but it was enough to cause injury. Asmi, just to play this along, the ops crew member sees you coming back over to the science station and gets up and steps aside, and as you slide back into the chair,
don't go too far. Stay right here.
Shanto immediately produces a hypo spray, and it doesn't help you except for anything with the pain. That was their opening round.
Thank you.
So the Imperious got to go first, and now we are in actual combat. So you have one breach. So you guys are going to be, it's now your action. What would you like to do? You are sandwiched between warbirds, and both of them are going to be firing on you.
This is not a tasty sandwich.
Captain, I can scan for weaknesses if you want me to.
I'll come in through comms too. Captain, I suggest if we could, I could take some time to regenerate power to shields.
Yes.
It's whoever you want to go next. Any one of the crew member gets to take an action, or the captain can order somebody on their action.
Yes, we're going to need those shields, but I feel like this commander over here would tell me something about the best defense. So start scanning for weaknesses on the Imperious. Let's shoot at their Admiral and make them a little nervous.
In that case, Sam is using their command action to give Ravity an extra action this turn. So
it wasn't. I was just flavoring.
Oh, well then who wants to go first?
I was just like, it's Lacat's turn.
You were telling Lacat to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kat, go ahead and roll to scan for weakness.
Sweet.
I'll not be directing.
What's the difficulty and we only have 1 momentum, but if the difficulty, you should take it and build more if we can.
The difficulty is 1 + 1 per range beyond close.
So that's going to be 2, 3, a total of 4 difficulty because they're at range. They're at long range. They're at long range and of all the particle interference.
And this uses 1 power, just an FYI.
Yep.
Okay.
Subtract 1 point of power. Thank you.
Yeah.
And someone roll for the Ross, but yeah, take the momentum, Rave, and use that extra die.
Actually, Rave, in the new rules, scanning for weakness does not cost a power.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Okay, great.
The Klingon core book says it is no longer listed as costing you 1 power.
We always go by the Klingon core book.
Okay, so I don't know if this counts in this situation, but you tell. Probably not, actually. Never mind. I was going to be like, duty and discipline, can I use this? And I was like, no, this is pretty clear language. So I'm going to just go ahead and roll, but I'm going to take an extra dice. Use the momentum for that.
Okay.
Oh, shit. Okay, I got a 2, a 5, and a 7.
Oh, shit.
Wait, so are 2 of those crits then?
I
nice.
Think so? Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So that's 6 total. So that means we get 2 momentum. We have 2
Nicely done,
Ooh,
Lacat.
thank you, Ravity.
So the next attack on that vessel before the end of your next turn is going to automatically gain piercing 2.
Nice.
Further, any D20s purchased for the next attack automatically inflict 1 extra die of damage per D20 purchased.
Nice.
Nicely done. A really smart use of that. It's going to be their action. Unless you guys spend to keep the initiative.
What is that? A 1 spend?
I think
2
we should
spend?
spend to keep the initiative. We know their weakness at this point.
The only time it would be worth would be for rally for more momentum because we're going to need to spend a lot when we hit. But at that point, spending for the quick to action. Oh no, Prawl actually gives it to us for free. Prawl has quick to
that's
action.
right. Prawl gives it to you for free.
It.
Yep, he just gets it.
So
Y'all
yes,
can
at this
keep the
point
initiative.
we can rally or we can breaches. I honestly want to try to build up as much momentum as we can before we start shooting, because I think that's going to be shoot and then direct to shoot. But we have to spend on rerolls. We have to spend on probably even more piercing.
I can
We have
do
to
a
build
rally
up as
roll.
big a pool as we can get before we shoot. Yeah.
You can give Prawl, if you want, Vren can initiate evasive maneuvers as well to make you harder to hit.
Yes, but that'll also affect our firing solution.
That is very true, but it is 2-1 right now. Let's hope it
But
doesn't
we're
stay
also
that way.
outside of our optimal range for our phasers, which means that we're attacking at a difficulty 3 right now, unless we use torpedoes, at which point we will also be attacking at a difficulty 3 because torpedoes make sense.
It's worth noting that Prawl is optimized for using phasers.
Yep,
So,
exactly. So
yeah.
we're eventually going to want to use Ren to move in, but all of this is to say right now we rally.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can do a rally roll.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, so you're going to rally?
Yeah, rally is a difficulty 0 roll as well. So
You inspire the crew with a war cry, leading them into battle. At least that's what the Klingon book says you do. Attempting a presence plus command task, difficulty 0, and this generates momentum that you can use either straight away or save for the pool. So yeah, this is juicing up on momentum.
yeah,
fast.
I think that basically the moment Olin saw Lacat go down, they probably noticed that really rattled the rest of the bridge crew. And knowing that the captain and the XO are kind of trying to focus on strategy stuff right now, they sort of look to the other members of the bridge crew and kind of give them a nod of encouragement and say, stay focused, everyone. We have a lot of work to do. And yeah.
Okay, yeah, make your roll. The difficulty is 0.
Cool.
Presence plus command.
A question for reference: are help rolls allowed during like combat initiative when only one player gets to take a turn?
You mean assist? Can you
assist.
Olin with this?
In initiative, it's its own action.
Yeah,
that's what I'm wondering. Just like for reference, are assist actions?
Yep. It's on the reference on the command sheet.
Yeah. If it says it's a task, then it counts as your full action. Otherwise, I might rule that it's a minor action, but you would be using your minor action.
It lists whether or not it is.
It says it on there just as generic ship combat tasks.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not a minor action.
Then it's not a minor action. It's a full task. Yeah. So you could assist, but that would be your task for the combat.
No worries.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what'd you roll?
I haven't rolled yet. Sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
2 successes.
Okay, generate 2 momentum. The bridge crew stiffens up. The aux crew is laser focused at this point. Seeing one of theirs injured and then stiff upper lip that right back into the science chair and then scan for weakness has actually motivated a lot of them to activate, their no bullshit circuits. Everyone is kind of in full focus mode as they resume their positions.
Can the previous morale advantage also add to that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool.
So that's going to be y'all's turn. This means it's going to be the Tamel's turn, and they are going to, as all of this is happening, they are going to use their action to close the range. So they're going to make a helm action maneuver. That's going to cost them impulse. They're going to move to closer range. That's going to cost them 1 power as they generate and they come into closer range. And then they gain a minor action. They are going to... That's going to be their action for the round. Their helm station is they start closing in on you guys, basically. So they move from long range to, let's see, is this a full action? It is, yeah. It's a control. Oh, I can generate threat from this. Okay, so control con, difficulty is 0. Okay. Okay, I get 3 threat.
Boo.
And that's their action for the round. So And now the Kuvat is decloaking. Kuvat is going to decloak. That's going to cost them power. So 8. Decloak. The Kuvat is currently in long range of everyone. However, the Kuvat is also going to, the Kuvat is going to use its disruptor banks and open fire on the Imperius. Let's see if you can get their attention. All right, so let's see. What is the talented crew? Okay, here we go. Making the roll. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna hit. Let's see. That's gonna be using the disruptor banks. That's 10. No, I'm sorry. I was using a torpedo, so that's 7. So 2, 4, 6, 7. It's not. Ooh. So 1. Oh, no, but it's not. It's 4. Okay. So what is the resistance on Imperius? 6. That's going to reduce its shields. So the Imperius takes a torpedo hit, and Kuvat is going to spend his own. I'm using Kuvat to sort of mirror what y'all are doing to even the odds here. So Kuvat is going to actually spend its next minor action to move within range, but it's not going to generate momentum. So he opens fire. He does basically what the Imperius does and returns the favor in kind as a photon torpedo gets launched out of the decloaking Vorcha-class warship. And he's going to spend his point of power and get right in the Romulans' faces. He moves right up into close range. So that Vorcha-class battleship comes bearing down on the Imperius. And that's going to be his action. It is now going to the top of the turn. So, your turn. It's the USS Ross. What are y'all doing?
Let's move in on the Imperius. That's also going to, by consequence, open the range back up with the Tamel and frustrate them. But I want to go from long to medium with respect to the Imperius before we fire. Okay. We're setting it all up and then hoping it's a good hit.
Bryn says, "Aye, Captain. Taking us in." And he's going to roll. Who wants to roll for the ship assist here? This is going to be, during control. By the way, when I leveled up Vryn, I gave him a focus in Ross-class starship. So everything he does with the ship is now a focus when he flies it, because you can actually specialize in class starships.
Engines con?
For the ship?
Computers con?
Control.
To move. Impulse is it's a control con task for him. Engines con for the ship. Difficulty is 0. Cool. So control con.
Jesus.
He rolls. Vryn rolls a 4 and a 2, so that's going to generate 2 critical hits. So 4 successes from Vryn.
Only 1, so close to a crit.
5 successes. Y'all move. The Ross immediately responds to Vryn's commands as the Ross begins to just turn sharply to port and and goes up the y-axis. You are now closing in and within, medium range now of the Imperius. You have a ton of generated extra momentum here you could spend to keep the initiative if you wanted to.
I suggest that we do to generate shields again.
My inclination.
It's your call, Captain.
The question is whether we do that before or after we shoot. I've always intuitively thought of engineering as like the cleanup phase.
Well, we're pretty dead. We need some cleanup a little bit.
We do.
That's right.
But I also because shooting is hungry and restoring shields will eat as much momentum as you want to give it, pretty much.
It's true.
We see how much we have left over after we shoot, has been my thought.
Copy.
Because I think we can take one more hit before we really need cleanup, which would be
that's brave, huh? That's a good thought.
We play near the we play close to
that thought, huh? Don't we?
Close to the middle. That said, we can either keep the initiative or we create an advantage and make the firing solution itself easier. Spend 2 of our 3 spillover momentum on perfect positioning.
I love it.
As a
surgical strike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I love the long time, like the long held tradition of captains making their engineers nervous.
Right. So what are you doing?
Turnover is always difficult. So yeah, that's. I can't think of one more thing for that final momentum, unless anyone else has an idea. The final spillover.
You do you want to? Okay, so you're using this momentum specifically to do what now?
We used 2 of our 3 spillover from that absolutely monster roll to create an advantage.
Okay.
That will serve for our firing. That means we have 1 spillover left, and then we have 6 that go to the pool. I was trying to think if there's like a good if there's a good question or something.
If you burn that 3, how about this? If you burn that 1 last momentum, I will allow the Ross to remove the trait that is hindering both movement and firing in the sector.
Done.
Okay, so the Ross, through Vrin's genius, through Lacat's scanning, through Pral's calculating firing solutions, all managed to compensate for the interference. You are no longer being affected by the interference of the particle fountain. The Ross's, the fuzziness of the Ross's computer readout begins to like sharpen up, and you have a clear shot now. You are no longer at increased difficulty for the rest of this combat. Okay, so that is gone. That's going to be the Ross's turn then. That means it's going to be the Imperious's turn. The Imperious has got a problem. She is currently being flanked by the Ross and a Vorcha-class battleship. The Ross she might be able to stand toe-to-toe with. A Klingon coming in behind you is going to make it impossible. So she is going to use her action to initiate evasive maneuvers on her end. So that is going to be a 1 power cost. She gauges, let's see, evasive. It's a daring con with a difficulty of 1, assisted by the ship's structure and con. If successful until the next turn, all attacks targeting the ships are increased by a difficulty of 1. So here we go. That is going to be a success. Let's see if I generate any more momentum. No more momentum, sadly, but it is going to increase. Okay, so the Imperious engages in a defensive measure, so it's at +1 difficulty at this turn. So the Ross, as the Ross begins to close in on the Imperious, Captain, you can see Sela knows exactly what you're up to and can see what the battlefield is looking like. And she very wisely decides it's time to move a little bit. And the immediately engages impulse drive, and you see her maneuvering to get into a better shot. She's doing the right thing at that particular point because the advantages were the battlefield is about to turn against her dramatically in that particular moment. That's the Imperious's. The Imperious does their action. Tamel is going to spend another point of power and close that gap one more time and is now up on the behind of Ross. So now pretty much everyone is in close range of each other, except for the Ross, who is in medium range of the Imperious and medium range of the Klingon vessel. So the Ross is the one who has more optimal phaser range. Everybody else has moved up into the crowd of combat.
Yes, but Romulans run with Disruptor, so I don't find it especially comforting. Are we not? We started long range relative to Tamel, yes? And then they closed to medium, and then we
Impulse will let you close to anywhere within long range on a single action. So actually, the Tamel would stick to medium range at this point. So they're going to use their action because you basically, when you moved again, you put distance between the two of you and went back to long range. So they're going to use their action to move back into medium range, and that's their action for the turn. And now it's the Kuvat's turn. And he's going to open fire now because he is at medium range. And even though it's not optimal, he is going to unload with disruptor cannons. So the increased difficulty, and it's increased difficulty because they are invasive maneuvers, so it's a difficulty 4 to hit them right now with these disruptor cannons. The Klingons open fire on the Romulans, not necessarily intelligently, but definitely hungrily. And you know what? I'm going to burn a value because this is actually a major NPC. I've waited too long for glory is actually his value. So he is going to achieve 2 automatic successes, and I roll a crit, so I get 4 on the dot. I get 4 on the dot. So the Kuvat is going to hit the Imperious with disruptor cannons. which are brutal. They do 11 damage, 7 base die, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm rolling 11 challenge dice. And they have Vicious 1. I roll 3, 4, 5 effects. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 points of freaking damage. 10 points of damage. That is going to cause a breach. Good Lord. Oh, yeah. The Kuvat, I mean, I'm telling you, these Klingon warships, they are designed. So okay, let me roll a d20 to find out where... oh, nope. It's just one breach. I forgot. They've actually simplified this. So right now, you guys would be able to detect this. Lacat, you would be able to see this on your sensors. But even though it made it past its resistance, so yeah, holy shit, that's a lot of damage. Okay, so right now, Seela's Warbird is impacted. It loses its next round in combat. So when it's its turn again, it cannot go. And it's going to lose 2 power. So the Imperious loses its next action. She's exposed this turn and takes monster damage to her shields. That's going to bring her shields down. Good Lord. This is why you don't fight Klingons, y'all. Don't fight Klingons. Let's see. So 15, that's going to be, so power is, yeah. Okay. And that's the Kavat's turn. And now we're back up to the Ross.
Are you just going to let them show us up like that, Prawl?
Prawl smiles at you and says, "Hey, Lacat, thanks for this." And he nods to you as he opens fire on the Imperious.
Yep. That will be net difficulty 2. It's a base of 2 plus 1 for the evasive maneuvers, minus 1 for the advantage we created.
Okay, so base attack of 2 then. And may I please spend momentum to gain an extra d20 for this?
Yes,
okay.
please. Yay.
Okay.
To 5.
Go Prawl.
So I'll tell you what Prawl roll, and I need you to roll
if he
damage
wants to
with
value
your
out here, he's free, you know.
You know what?
Yeah.
Let's do it. He'll use a value. Yeah, let's go all in on this. Let's get that momentum. Let's go all in. Prawl has seen his enemy. You heard what he said during his log. I'm going to use his value. Making me scared makes me scary.
Ooh, that is the best value. Can I write that down and put it on
So 2. Oh my God.
Good.
Did Ross succeed as well? We get weapons.
I'm going to take a picture of that.
Excellent.
I rolled 3 1s.
Prawl!
I'm taking a picture.
Scary.
Prawl woke up and
Scary.
chose violence.
Plus all that
raw
damage.
Wow. I'm
that's
posting that on
1d8.
Twitter. Paul rolled 3 1s.
Wow.
We have
That's
a
8
success from Ross as well.
That's
No successes.
9 successes.
1 success.
9. Is that a record? No, we've hit 9 before. We hit 9
I
once
think
before.
10 or
It's-
11 is
10 is the current record, I believe.
So I'd like one of you all, you can roll damage, you can activate, you can get piercing. You have a whole slew of options before you right now that you can activate. But right now, take the D6 challenge dice and roll for Ross's phasers.
I say our captain or commander should roll for
But
damage.
before you do, tell me what the momentum spin is going to be.
All right, quick maths. We were at 5 prior. We have 7. That means we're at 6 spillover momentum on top of a full pool. We effectively have 12 momentum in the ether right now. I propose that the
Dump
most
6
efficient
for
thing
1.
is to dump we have 2 piercing already.
And with precision cutting for our phasers.
Does that give us more piercing?
I think it automatically grants 1 piercing.
So we're at 3 piercing. Their resistance, if they're our scale, is 6.
Yeah, I would think so.
Which means
Or
that
6 or 8. Yeah.
Well, we have the extra 2 from the
Oh, that's
ablative.
right. The ablative.
Which,
yeah.
Vren would know whether or not they have, which I don't believe they do. So that means
don't.
we need to spend down to 10. So 2 of our
Real
spillover
momentum.
to get them all the way down to no resistance before anything else goes through.
Bye-bye,
Okay.
Sela. Bye-bye.
From there, I think we spend another 4 of our 6 spillover for additional dice. We could go higher than that if we want. I don't think that's bad, actually. Like, we just need to spend enough to maybe do like 2 rerolls for damage.
Yeah.
But I think we'll still be sitting comfortably at the end of that. So sure, yeah, we'll have 1 spillover as a reroll to start. See how that goes. See how we like it. So that's an additional 5 dice of damage. We can also spend power into it if we like.
We are, yeah.
And that,
We
my
are
friend,
still at
is
full
why
power.
Sam is our captain.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nope.
Mhm. This is what we're up against.
Well, I mean, that's what it takes when we see what happens on one hit.
Yeah.
Like, woof.
Mm-hmm.
We've got power to
We need to
spend
hit-
on this.
We have power to spend on it, and we get an additional, because it's a phaser, we get an additional die per power spent. Do we want, we have what, a total of 15 power?
15.
And we spend it on other things, I grant.
We do.
But I think it's worth putting, and we're not going to get to recycle them that often because you're going to be stuck restoring shields. That said, I feel like we put another 3 in.
Here we go, Captain. I'm here with ya.
All right, so I believe that is a total of 16 damage dice. 8 for our basic phasers, 5 from the additional spend from the momentum, and then another 3 from our power. And resistances. Well, you know.
Just
Exio's
You
ready
ready?
for fireworks.
Ross has been spending the past 2 rounds of combat lining up this shot. So take it.
All right,
You
who's
have seen
rolling
their fury.
16d6?
Do you want to computer it, or?
I can
How
roll it
about
if you want. I've
everybody
got the
rolls
6-sided
4?
here.
I mean, you are
Maybe-
Crawl, Eric.
Okay, I'll roll it.
So
yeah.
you get to have this.
2,
Since you
4,
rolled the 3
6,
ones, we
8,
need
10, 12. So I'm going to roll extra dice after this. All right. So here we go.
Oh, we ran him out of dice. Good, we did well.
Okay. Pulling
Also,
these
this
aside.
means you
Hang
have
on
to
to
figure
anything
it all
that's a
out.
3 or 4. We're going to re-roll those later.
There are 3 dice that did not come up with anything. Do you want to re-roll them? I haven't finished rolling yet, so let me.
Exactly. Finish rolling. Just know that you're going to
Okay,
re-roll those.
so let's.
write it down if you have to.
So 4. Okay. Okay. So 3. Oh my God! Jesus Christ! All right. So
Getting religious.
so three of these dice did not come up with anything.
Re-roll them.
I
All
rolled.
3.
I rolled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 effects. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage that are not effects. That's not effects. I rolled a 1, a 1, a 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, and then 6, 6, 6, 6.
1 plus 2. Oh, isn't that Ross? All right, re-roll
Yeah.
those 3. See what we came up with.
All right, so let's roll those 3. And those final 3, I rolled 2 more effects.
Yeah.
Amazing.
My good, this was like we can go home now.
Can someone real quick the effects for phasers? They always escape me.
Mm-hmm.
I also know we have the there's a thing you can do with phasers.
You can do multi-shot.
A half again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to. We want to do that half again.
Phasers full
multi-shot, and I think we
spread,
just get it for
basically.
free. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's one where you can multi-target, and there's one where you can do into another system.
Yeah.
I think we want into another system. I think we're focus firing because that's going to make the Tamel very nervous to have their flagship getting hard focused. If I'm very lucky, it's like chess, and I feel like they have to interpose to save from check.
So what do you got for the phaser effects?
I was trying to look it up. I can only find the
I know
hand
it's
phaser one because it's damage effectively.
The
but
good news is I actually have the
'Cause we
effects
don't have
tables
choice.
open because I anticipated this being a thing.
yeah.
So, so the good news is this is available to me. So impact damage, okay, disabled. Man, y'all ain't messing around. Prawl,
Right?
that was probably the role of Prawl's career.
Yeah.
That was the biggest sucker punch he has ever given on board the Ross. All just like
he really did not want to be shown up.
Lining that shot up. Okay, so what qualities does the phaser have again?
It was precision cutting.
Precision. The attack ignores X of the target's total resistance per effect rolled. So it's going to ignore all of the resistance of it.
Great.
So it was ignoring all the resistance anyway.
It ignores all the resistance. Precision cutting means it ignores all the resistance that is offered up by the ship.
So we didn't even need this
it was just
piercing.
Yeah. So I'm going to factor in the damage then. That's a total of let's see. So that was a total. That was So that was a total of.
Everything went through.
Yeah, everything went through. So let's see, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 12. Okay. That is going to cause a breach.
Oh, yay!
Yeah, think. The shields.
You've been breached, Sela.
The shields on the Imperious drop. And I now have to calculate its breach because you just smashed the crap out of the Imperious. The Ross's phaser strike at its underbelly basically drilled through the bottom of the hull and caused a visible ship breach to the outer hull.
You could see it from space.
Okay, so it is now full damage can be evolved. Okay, so Okay, so it is now damaged. Total number. Let's see. That's 3. Yep. That's over half of its scale in breaches, so it is now a damaged vessel.
Yeah.
So now, total number of breaches, the NPC ship suffered. Okay, so increase the difficulty of all tasks by 2. So to hit the Ross, its difficulties, including because it has not removed the trait that is affecting weapon systems, it has a default difficulty of 4 before it even tries to open fire on you now. So it needs maximum successes right now to hit the Ross. You are at a maximum difficulty of 5 to even hit you right now because of how damaged the ship is. You guys can see the outer hull. You can see the breach as the phaser shot goes lancing right through the bottom of the bird of prey and strikes on the underside of its top part because it's hollowed out in the middle. You can see the scorch mark of that bird of prey, and you can see the horrible effect of what happens when ships full of people get exposed to space. There's a brief moment where you see debris begin to spread across from the bird of prey. Her light, you can see the power on her ship fluctuate for a moment. She's still in the fight, but she is bloodied. That hit seriously damaged the Imperious. And any responsible captain at this stage would be retreating. It's not their turn yet, though.
Just for narration purposes, can we cut down to med bay and have a live feed of the battle of the view screen from the bridge, sitting there in the med bay with Sorax watching the breach happen, being like,
Sorax is unconscious, but
I'm gonna hypospray him just for a few minutes.
Wake up! I don't care about your medical condition. You watch
this. And then knock him back out again. He'll be fine. It's worth it.
Sleep. All right.
Okay, I'll just save it on the pad for when he wakes up.
Do we want to spend 2 and take another shot?
Well, okay. Just also for flavor, kind of too, as we see this happening, could we start beaming like the any survivors that we see into the brig? From
that would be a task. You can't attack twice. You get to hold the initiative, so you can get to go again, but you wouldn't be able to shoot
again. So what I would
again.
strictly be doing would be maintaining the initiative, using it to take the direct task, and directing Prawl to fire again with my assist.
Okay, yes. You can use the direct task and tell Prawl to shoot again. Yes,
I would like to do that.
And because until the end of your next term, the scan for weakness is still in effect.
That was what I was about to say.
Yep.
We have that. We have our advantage.
Lacat set that golf shot up for you guys, and now, all right. So Prawl's going to shoot again. May I please burn a point of momentum for that third die?
Yes, that will bring us down to 3 o'clock. And I'll be rolling to assist because it's direct task.
Okay, it's not as spectacular this time.
Right.
Prawl rolls a 12, an 8, and a 14. That's all 3 of those are going to be successes.
And
but none of those are crits.
No help.
That's going to be enough to hit, though. None from Ross?
No.
You still needed just 3. Okay, it's cool. So
No, we
how
only
much,
needed 2.
Yeah.
Because of the thing that we
so
created.
gain 1 momentum. How much damage is that going to do?
All right.
We have 1 moment.
Okay, so we can't get nearly as spendy on this because I want to save some for shields in a moment as well. I think we actually.
We have
yes,
4
exactly.
in the pool, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yep. 4 in the pool. So I say we just do the phaser damage on this one and spend whatever we might need to re-roll for damage.
Okay, so
but
phaser damage
focus on damage. See whether or not effects come up to earn us our piercing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Also,
but just
I feel like we don't need to. I feel like we won't need to scan for weaknesses again. There's a hole in the ship.
we found it.
We found the weakness.
What's the damage am I rolling? What damage am I rolling?
8.
2, 4, 6, 8. I roll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 effect.
1 effect for the precision.
Okay. That gets it. All right. So you said how many didn't hit?
3 of them did not hit.
All right. So of our 4 momentum, I think 1 to reroll damage and 1 for the rest of the piercing.
Okay.
We didn't get quite enough based on the scan plus the precision.
I re-rolled and I got an additional effect. No other successes.
Okay.
So that actually takes us the rest of the way. We don't have to spend the 3rd one. Good.
So we're at 3 momentum.
So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage that ignores resistance.
That ignores everything. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's gonna. Let me mark that down. Let's say 8 damage. That's gonna cause another breach.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay. You see the impact again. You see the impact again. The next phaser strike impacts just underneath the chin of the bird of prey. You can see the phaser marks blasting through, basically searing the hull raw, as it doesn't have any shields to protect it. And that's going to be the Ross's action. That was a hell of a round.
What's the look on Pral's face right now?
Prawl looks at you and kind of gives a wink. The cat, very grateful for the smashing roll that you did and giving him what he needed to attack.
Wants a sniper.
Yep. So now it's the Imperious's turn. The Imperious is going to
explode.
Yeah. The Imperious is actually going to send, let's see.
Sila, bye-bye. Goodbye, Sila.
The Imperious is going to try to remove one of these breaches on its action. Difficulty is 3, but the difficulty of all tasks is increased by 2. So this is going to be a difficulty 5 roll. I'm going to spend threat to give I'm going to purchase 2 extra dice as Sela tries to get her ship back in working order. Here we go. I roll a 1, a 3, a 13, and the last die. 14, so 4 to 5. Yep, that's going to be enough to remove a single breach. They're still completely baked, though. That's going to be her whole action. The Tamel actions now is at hand. The Tamel is going to has closed within medium range of the Ross, and she's going to open fire. Oh, actually, on the Imperious's turn, I forgot about this. 2, 4, 6, 8. The Ross is going to take damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
From what?
7. Y'all are on fire. That plasma torpedo that impacted against the Ross lit the Ross's hull up on plasma fire. And so plasma torpedoes do base damage, and then they do 8 persistent damage.
God, it was the torpedoes.
Yeah, that's why she opened fired on you with a torp in the very beginning of the match.
Dang.
Cool.
Going to
Please
spend.
remind us about any effects in the future.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spend threat to have that damage be piercing, and I'm going to go right past Ross's resistances. That's going to eat into my threat pool, though.
Yeah, but
so the Ross is going to take 8 points of damage to her. Let's see. How much is she going to take? That's going to be. Oop! I rolled on the breach table because that's a breach.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's only one breach, so the other 3 points don't matter too much.
Yeah.
Except for the Ross is down now. So let's see. On the breach table, that is going to be. I rolled a 10. That's going to be to structure again.
Mm-hmm.
So now you've taken 2 breaches to the structure. It's gone from impacted. So I've got to roll a d6 now.
No.
To find out if anyone's been injured. And I did not roll a challenge. So, however, because it's been another impact, I'm going to roll again on the casualty table for Ox Crew.
Okay.
No.
How many tables do you have, Eric?
Sorry, I
No more
was the
tables.
one who was on fire. Not
There are injury reports coming in from the lower decks of the ship right now, from that impact.
Come to
Or
sick
from
bay.
not from the impact, but just from the fire of the plasma torpedo. And now I'm going to shoot at you. Now the Tamel is going to open fire on the Ross. And I'm going to spend a point of threat to get that extra die. And it's at +1 difficulty. That's going to hit you. Okay.
We're still at 9 shields.
All right. That's going to give me 1 bonus threat. And I'm going to spend 2, 4, 6. The thing is, here's the thing, is because the Ross's resistance is so high, I have to spend 4 threat every time I want to go ignore your resistance.
Yeah.
That is a lot of threat to be spending every time I hit you. So I'm only going to spend 2 this time. So the Ross is going to have a 4 resist. Man, that a blade of armor.
Yeah, right?
That a blade of armor. I was so on you about it for so long.
Yeah. Okay, so the damage on this, it's a disruptor. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I am going to, I've already got that. So I'm going to do, yeah. Okay. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All right. So I'm rolling 10 dice. It does have vicious.
No.
Yep. Let's see. I rolled 2, 4, 6 effects. And 2 damage, so that's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 damage.
Well,
and I'm going to spend a point. I'm going to spend 1 point of threat to add an additional point of stress inflicted to round it out to 15, which means 3 breaches if you can't absorb this.
Okay.
But you absorb. Let's see. You absorb 4 of that though.
Yes.
So 15, so 14, 13, 12, 11. So 11, that breaks it. So you're going to take 2 breaches from this.
But wait. So hold on.
What's up?
Because what was the total damage?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 total. And then I spent a point of threat to round it out to 15. To add stress. So 15 total. So then you subtracted 4. So it brings 11. Down to 11. And every
then we have
5
the shields left.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well,
so that brings it down to 2 when we have no shields.
Okay, so your shields drop.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. In which case,
careful, Eric.
In which case, that's gonna. Is it repeatable? You know what? I'm gonna do it.
Oh.
I'm going to spend 5 threat.
I'm sorry.
And add 5 more points of damage to the hit so that you still get a breach.
Why do you hate us so much?
Eric said JK.
Eric is trying to kill us.
If you get it, Eric, you want the campaign to be over. We get it.
You don't have to blow up the ship.
You don't have to total party kill us. And
so another breach. I'm going to roll. I roll a d10 and I roll an 11, which is the structure again. So now you've gone from impacted to damaged. So fires and or minor hull breaches force areas to evacuate and be sealed off. Increase the complication range of all engineering and repair tasks by 2. Reduce the ship's resistance by 1. And the difficulty repair goes up to 3. So what happens aboard the Ross as this warbird strikes into the hull is the entire Ross, just you, Exio, you were like slapped up against the back of your chair as the impact from that second warbird shot comes right across and scorches across the bottom of the hull. You can hear the impact, and down in engineering tech, you can hear the alarms going off that decks are being sealed off. As you hear the alerts, all this steam gets as the plasma exhaust ports begin to vent out into the main engineering space in order to maintain integrity. You hear Prawl go, "That one hurt!" as the bridge like rattles violently. And that's going to be their action. But if it makes y'all feel better, I'm down to 1 threat.
Yay!
I would like to do a rally, please. I think it's time for a rally. I don't know how you feel about that, Sam, but I feel
It's going to be the Kuvat's turn now.
After when we get to our turn.
Yeah, we haven't gone all the way around us, which we have to do. It's
going to be the Kuvat's turn.
Yes.
The Kuvat has been very pleased with what it saw the Ross do. And he's going to spend his action to open fire, this time with disruptors. And this time the Kuvat is going to... I mean, you can only imagine, Sol, that on the bridge of the IKS Kuvat, the Vorcha class ship, is this captain is laughing and saluting the Ross as you guys basically give Sela a new piercing. And he is going to open fire.
We certainly spent enough momentum to that point.
Man, I am rolling vicious against my own ships. So that is definitely going to hit. How much damage is this going to do? Because this is a disruptor bank. This is going to do 10 damage. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 against a warbird with no shields. Ouch time.
So remind me, they were the one that would have had a skip turn, right? The Imperius?
The Imperius did skip its turn. It didn't get a turn this round.
No, they tried to repair a breach.
Oh, they did. They did do that. You're right. They wouldn't have been able to do that.
There?
They still have 4 breaches. Thank you, Sam. You're correct. You're absolutely correct. They did not.
Catch.
They could not have repaired that.
Good catch, Sam.
So 2, 4, 5,
Oh,
6. 6.
More Romulans dead, and that's your fault.
It's all on Vasquez.
I just scored 12 points of damage against the Imperius.
Heck yeah.
Wow,
That's going to be.
competitive.
That's going to be 2. Let's see. Its resistance is okay. So 6. So it's still going to get it. It's still going to get another breach.
Yes.
So many holes. There's more holes than ship,
It's
Eric.
going to get another breach.
They're growing too big for their breeches.
No. And thank you for watching, everyone. Goodbye.
The Tamel wasn't really nervous when it closed in and went for a belly shot on the Ross. But after seeing this latest attack by the Klingons, on top of what the Ross has done to the Imperius, there might be a morale issue taking place on the Tamel. What's happening on the Imperius, you can only imagine. And that is going to be, let's see. It's still damaged. It's still damaged. Big ship, scale 6. So it's still in the fight. It's still in the fight. However, at the end of the round, I need Lacat to roll sensor science. And at that point too, let's find out what Lacat's roll is first.
Oh, you're muted.
Lacat scan, let's go.
Hi, friends.
So roll sensor science, and the Ross is going to assist. This is not considered a combat action. This is something that's happening in combat.
Okay.
My dice have dried up.
We have momentum. Take one.
We have
Yeah, I'm going to take a momentum, I think, for this.
And a 2, I believe.
Great.
3.
Yeah, because we didn't need the one for piercing because of the effect.
Right.
Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4 successes.
Ooh. No help from the Ross.
It's okay.
She's working hard.
4 successes. Okay, that's at a difficulty 0 because you removed the trait that made it difficulty 1. So generate 4 momentum.
Yay!
So Ross detects warping into the scene is the Keticus. As expected, this huge tarantula class, this ship from the future that the Tholians have brought to the present appears. I want to stress again, the size of this vessel is 1 scale larger than the Ross. So when she comes in, she makes a splash. Everyone sees her on sensors as she warps into the system. And again, the Catechist is terrifying looking. You see this, it looks like 3 shards of like iridescent sort of like beetle scaled bluish hues across these like spikes that lance out in front of the ship, and this bizarre rotating energetic net that just spins around the base of the body. And it holds position, does not engage the Ross. And it holds its position where it is, doesn't do anything, but you see it come up on the tactical display. And that's going to bring things back around to the Ross. It's y'all's action.
Captain, this is engineering. We don't have any more powerful shields, and we're on fire.
Fix fires first.
Hi.
See if maybe you could help with the shields when the time comes, Blip.
On it, Captain.
Okay, so what's your action?
I would like to use my action to assist engineering in making our ship less on fire.
Maybe we want to do one.
Get rid of a breach.
Engineering versus the breach, and then you could maybe, because you're a commander, you can also use the direct action.
Oh yeah, sure.
That's true.
You
You
can
absolutely
do the
have
breaches
it.
first, and then the shields.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, breaches first.
So
Yeah,
I'm
because
going
that
to
makes
use
the shield easier.
the damage control task. So
That's
we'll
correct,
take on
yeah.
1 breach, and I'm going to be doing a presence engineering roll for it.
And it's at increased difficulty because of the hit that we took.
Oh.
Mhm.
Could I have an assist as a minor action? From
You're getting an
No.
assist from Exio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's not a minor action.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend 1 momentum.
Or am I doing a direct?
We're going to call it a minor action. I'm going to call it here. Normally, it's a full task. So
Yeah.
we're going to give it to you as a minor action right now. There's a break in combat, so I'm just going to let this be a thing that functions as a minor action. Go ahead, Xander, make your roll.
Yeah, I spent 1 for cautious engineering.
Okay, and then Exio.
Okay, so that is
Exio, this would be a I'm going to say a presence command roll for you.
focus in containment fields. That's what I'm doing.
Then you have a discipline in this. You can use a focus.
Yes. Okay.
Holy shit! It finally came into
Right. So that is
Yeah.
3 crits. So 6 successes.
2. So while you guys are in the middle, so Xander, Tech puts on his face masks because y'all are going into rooms that have been exposed to vacuum. So as y'all are entering in these containment fields,
Easy peasy.
The moment the door opens, one of the aux crew, he goes, "Ah!" and starts to get sucked out into the vacuum as the containment field, and Exio catches them and holds them hovering in the air before the containment field activates. Exio is on the other side of the containment field. She's standing in the vacuum as she is holding. It is terrifying to see the Ross's room just peeled open, and you can see the vacuum of space. But Exio stands there just holding this aux crew member.
We'll get you in. We'll get you back in.
Exio's arms are literally penetrating this force field as she's just holding this crew member. The aux crew says, "Thank you, Commander."
Of course. Get back to your station.
Aye, Commander. Holy shit! And kind of skips out of the room as quickly as possible.
How much momentum was that?
How much momentum is that?
A
So,
lot. We
it was a
rolled
lot.
a 9
9
total
successes.
Right, and then the difficulty was, I know, +2, but I don't know the base difficulty for damage.
It was a
control.
0 difficulty base, so it was
Okay,
2
so it
because
was.
of that.
We had 7 momentum.
So we put
then
1 back in the
5 up to
pool.
6. Yep. So that
We
gives
have
us
6
6 spillover
floating.
that we can try to figure out how to put towards something. Let's see. Restoring shields is itself a 0 difficulty, so it wouldn't really help us much in that regard. Are
But
there
we can
any?
restore 2 points of shield for every 1 momentum spent.
But because this wasn't a shield
Oh,
task,
you're right.
we can't put it into that at this moment.
That's right.
If,
Is there any way we can
reduce the breaches?
reduce the breach damage since we are at damaged from 3
Oh,
structure
yeah,
hits?
go down to the level.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You can drop a level back down to impacted.
Ooh, yes, do that part.
You basically put out the fires. You
Yeah.
remove the
And that
increased
is-
complication
yeah.
range. Yeah. So
And that
Ross
was the
will be
first
able-
thing we're doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
you can totally do it.
Good.
Okay, so
Is there
feel like
spillover momentum
really,
for that?
really
flavor.
valuable round for you guys. What's up, Tech?
For flavor, so after that whole incident happened, Tech just turns around to Exio and is like, "You're so valuable to the ship." And he sort of hits a few buttons on a console on the wall panel, and all of a sudden, all of the holo emitters that were installed around the ship get activated with like extinguisher EXE programs. So it's just like, there's Exio with like an extinguisher putting out fire after fire.
Just like a bunch of Exio.
An army of Exios putting out the fires.
Like base AI holodeck level, but
And
yeah.
and Exio's just like walking around in the
And you
open space, just like monitoring her Exio.
The Exio turns and looks at you, Exio, and goes, "You're welcome. Now report back to your station," and goes back to putting out the fire. Tech runs out of the room. All right. That was a really valuable round for the Ross. You guys managed to remove one of the breaches in a desperate damage control action, and you managed to bring yourselves back from damage to impacted. Aki, Olin begins to feel Tholians reaching out to you. Which, by the way, Tholians are not known for having psychic power, so but you can feel an intention there. And at the same moment that that's happening, Lacat, you can see that there are energy pulses emanating from the Tholian ship towards the particle fountain.
Does the pulse match the particle?
Yeah.
fountain?
It is what it looks. Go ahead and make a reason science check and add your sensors here. By the way, as this is happening, I want to just say that sickbay right now is being flooded. Right
figured.
now, there are 25 injured aux crew members and 6 fatalities from the combat.
Oh no.
There is a lot of damage being done to the lower deck. What did you roll, Ravity?
I rolled a 2 and a 20.
Oh shit! You got a complication.
unfortunately, the Ross.
Oh, you didn't take a die for caution. You didn't take a die for momentum, did you? For cautious.
I did not.
No.
I'm gonna reward myself that threat and bank it
unfortunately,
because I
the
need to
Ross-
bank it. I'm out of
Wait,
threat.
hold on. Actually, give me a second. That was the sensors roll, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great, because I have technical expertise.
You
Whenever you
do.
attempt a task assisted by the ship's computer sensors, you may reroll 1d20.
That's
Hey! No threat for you.
I thought I got some threat back. Oh well.
You were definitely assisted to the Rosses of no help.
Did you roll another 20?
No, I rolled an 18.
Oh,
We're
nuts. I should
fine.
have increased the confidence.
Fine.
Good.
But you didn't give me back threat, so you still win that.
Okay, great. Well, this die is
It's still a
vanished
success,
forever.
right?
Lacat, the energy pulses that are being given off by the Catechus seem to correspond and match with what's going on from the particle fountain.
Mhm.
And it seems like the particle fountain is responding. Like its pulse is echoing the Catechus. Like if the particle fountain's pulses were like somebody like beating a drum, as the Catechus showed up and started playing its own tune, the particle fountain started to match the tune.
Is this what's causing the growth?
You can spend a point of momentum to find out.
Yeah, I would love to.
Plenty.
Okay,
I
so
have
you
a
immediately,
question.
as you're really having trouble focusing through the pain right now.
Oh, yeah.
As you enter some of the commands, you're seeing all of this, a break in combat. You scan quickly to find out what's going on, and you see that the particle fountain has begun to shrink noticeably. Not only is it shrinking, there is something emerging. And that is where we have to stop tonight.
Oh
No.
my god.
No one is allowed to give birth around here but the doctor.
How many things are going to give birth?
In the middle
My
of
question
combat.
was literally going to be, what do I sense happening at the particle fountain? Because that...
Next Monday is our final episode of Clear Skies. It will be both a wrap up of this encounter and the epilogue. What a wild ride it's been. It's been a unique and wonderful experience, and I'm excited to tell this last chapter of the story next Monday night. This is the first time in Star Trek Adventures I've bloodied y'all's nose.
Ooh.
Yeah,
First
we
time.
felt that.
I have never done damage to you like this before in Star Trek Adventures. This never happened at the Sally ride.
Flesh wound.
Yep, I've never breached. I've never gotten past impacted.
I kept cool as a cucumber. You couldn't tell.
Engineering. Yeah, but y'all had
4 rounds of tech. Captain!
Just all the screaming from Napoleon.
Yeah, and here's the wild part, y'all. We're not even done with the first round of combat.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Boy.
Okay, let's not rub that part in.
Yeah.
Y'all are on. I'd have to look at the notes, but I think it's round 5. So the first turn of combat has not cycled.
Yeah.
Which means you technically still have Ravity's badass scan for weakness up, even though you can't shoot again. But yeah.
I haven't taken an action yet.
That's true. That's
Heather
true.
has McCrell.
Yeah.
That's all very true. We'll see what happens. Please, Ox Crew, join us next Monday for our send-off to Clear Skies as we conclude this story. We find out what's emerging from the particle fountain and the ultimate fate of the USS Ross. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We will see you then. Until then, alien frequencies are closed.